Hello, and welcome back to episode 11 of The Ripper, the Teller and The Gremlin. So unfortunately this week we have a bit of bad news. It was meant to be one of our guest episodes, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. We're going to hopefully reschedule for next week, but that's not for definite. We're just hoping that will sort of be the case. But anyway, we don't need him anyway. It's boring.
No.
He's probably just putting all his money in microtransactions.
Yeah, he's probably off gambling somewhere. Just quickly, isn't this episode 10 though?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Is it? Right.
You skipped an episode.
Our big 1-0.
Yeah,
we're into
sorry,
the
guys.
double digits.
We're
now.
into double digits.
Do you know why I did that? Because
of
I wrote the
outline.
outline for this week to be 10, and then I had 11 on this one. So
Yeah, no, that's fine. No worries.
I'm
Well, we're on
lo-
episode
I'm-
10,
I'm
everyone. You haven't missed an
Yeah,
episode.
we made it to 10.
Yeah. We
yeah,
hit the
so
big double
don't get
digits.
confused, everyone. Even though I'm crazy.
I think Chris needs to just explain that it's hot where we are, and
For England.
his brain is melting in the heat at the moment, so
Yeah.
there might be a few fumbles here.
Yeah. But anyway, let's just go straight into the news. So this week we've got a lot of there was a lot to choose from, and obviously we couldn't cover it all, but we just chose a couple bits we were really interested in. So my sort of first bit of news is we had like a Star Wars info dump, and
Right.
to sum it up quite briefly, basically a load of actors talking out about their bad experiences and disappointment with Disney's sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And we have John Boyega, who said, they don't know what to do with characters of color. I mean, I'd argue they don't really know what to do with any characters.
Of any
But
race.
I understand his sentiments. And then Daisy Ridley said, hey, there was never any plan for Rey Skywalker. She was a Kenobi, then she was no one, and then she's Palpatine's granddaughter. And apparently that changed every day on set.
Oh, wow.
J.J.
Oh.
Abrams was just coming up to her and going, so you can Palpatine's granddaddy. And then
So essentially that last line
the
where
next
she does
day,
where
the
she
next day he's like, we're not sure. And she said, even all the way up to release, she didn't even know
what she was.
what they were going with.
You know the bit when that at the end with the lady where she asks who she is and
Yeah.
she says Rey
Really?
Skywalker. Yeah, and she was like Rey. Damn it, I don't know which one I am.
Have you seen all the memes of that? Where it's like,
Yeah.
Rey, the Senate.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But and then Mark Hamill also added his voice. I mean, Mark Hamill's been quite vocal about his sort of issues with this trilogy.
Mhm.
And then Disney PR obviously had a word with him, and he stayed quiet until the sequel trilogy was well and truly over. And he just basically said, there's a lot more of Luke in The Rise of Skywalker that we didn't see, and that he was worried that the title of Rise of Skywalker would be misleading.
Right.
Because he said it seems to point that it'd be more about the Skywalker family, right?
Yeah.
And that either Anakin or Luke would have a bigger sort of impact in the story. And then if you watch the movie, it's the Palpatine movie.
Yeah.
It's the
Rise of Palpatine.
So it's interesting, and it all sort of stems from, I think, mismanagement at the top. And I won't go into it in too much detail, but I mean, I've sort of mentioned to you guys before, if you look into it, this under Disney, the mismanagement of this license has been pretty huge, in my opinion. Like,
Agreed.
I like these movies. I do like the sequels, and for me, I love Kylo Ren. Like, he's one part of the sequels I really
enjoy. Yeah.
So I don't think it's all bad. But when you actually look into it, it just, what a way to destroy $1 billion franchise, like credibility wise, in a lot of people's eyes. It's not, they weren't financial failures at all, but I think a lot of people have been disconnected and got a bit fed up with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which isn't really what a successful trilogy would create.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I won't go on that too long because that's a quagmire of just absolute mess. But the second bit we got was actually, we got a brief Kenobi series update.
Yeah.
And it was basically just Ewan McGregor talking about it. And he said he's really, really excited for this series, and that he's actually more excited for this series than he was for episodes 2 and 3.
All right.
Yeah. I thought that's quite
exciting.
because he's
Especially
working
episode three.
with a lot of the crew from The Mandalorian.
Yep.
So there's some good people working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he also talked, actually, it's quite funny, about how it's interesting how the prequels obviously were quite reviled when they came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said the pendulum sort of swung the other way now, because he gets more people coming up to him saying, "Oh, we love those movies. You were our childhood icon. Like, thank you for doing them." And he said how that's sort of nice.
Nice to have.
Because at the time he was getting death threats.
Yeah.
And,
The script has been flipped.
Yeah. No. But I mean, we don't know much about this Kenobi series, but it's got a lot of people from The Mandalorian, and he's really excited about it. So that's kind of enough for me to be on board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm excited about that. I like, I think that's got a lot of potential. And he, for me, is obviously iconic to those films. And obviously we love Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, and he's even become a meme in recent years. And I love it. Every bit of it, all the Kenobi memes.
He's always been a meme.
Yeah, he has, but they're so great. So I'm really excited about that, and I think Bradley has like a man crush on him in episode 3, don't you? His hair? Is it his hair?
Oh yeah, just everything about him. To be honest, he's just so cool. I love him. Like he's by far the best like Star Wars character.
Yeah. So
he's
on this note though, how weird's this? So the common consensus I always find is lots of people say his Obi-Wan is the redeeming or the best part of the prequels, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's quite a popular sort of thing on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was talking to my mum about this the other day, she hates him.
Oh, really?
She said he was the worst part of those movies.
Oh my god!
And literally, I was like, "Mum, like
them's fighting words."
I was like, "You're just crazy." Like, she was like, "Oh, he wasn't Alec Guinness," and I was like, "No, but he's quite a believable young Alec Guinness.
Yeah,
like before he's wiser."
No, he makes the character so much better to me. He gives it so much depth that he just didn't bring, in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think, but I can really see that being a young Kenobi, and then Alec Guinness being the sad and broken.
Yeah.
I
can see
it. And I think they both, in their what they're meant to get in their performances, they both nail it, in my opinion.
Of course they do.
And it feels like this man's sort of journey. What will be interesting in the series is if he tries to become more Alec Guinness-esque, because obviously it will be closer to, because it's him on Tatooine, and he's probably going to go on some sort of adventure. But no, honestly, we don't know much, but I am excited. And weirdly, my mum hates Ewan McGregor.
Which is just
Boo.
so sad.
Boo.
Boo, Chris's mum. Boo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you listen.
No, she probably doesn't. It's fine. It's a safe ground. But yeah, so moving on to next sort of bit of movie news, we had some Thor Love and Thunder news. So the Hollywood Reporter did a little interview with Chris Hemsworth, and they asked him the question, is this going to be your last Thor? Because obviously a lot of the other actors have retired, they've left. And he very jokingly said, "Are you mad? I'm not going to retire from this character. Like, Thor's young. He's only 15,000 years old."
Yeah.
Like, he had a lot of fun with it, and he was joking around. And it's interesting because if you go back to sort of, I believe it was For the Dark World and Avengers Age of Ultron, he was really done with the character. Very much so that he didn't really seem like he wanted to do it anymore. Yeah. So obviously we've seen a complete 180 from him. And I think a lot of that comes from what they did to the character in Ragnarok.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right, where it was this complete... Have you seen Ragnarok, Bradley?
It's the best one.
Yeah, I was going to say it is the best one.
Yeah,
it's one of the few Marvel films that genuinely is funny as well.
Yeah.
Like writing is well done. And it's not just like, mum humour. Yeah. But Ragnarok was great.
And I think since that, obviously, they gave him interesting roles in the last two Avengers, and he's really still, from the sound of things, I mean, there's the one aspect of he makes a killing doing this.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it also seems like he's the type of guy that if he wasn't interested anymore,
he doesn't need the money.
He wouldn't need to do it, right?
No.
Yeah.
So I think it generally just shows an interest, and I'm really excited for Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I don't know much about the movie or the way they're going to take it, but yeah, I didn't like the first Thor film, and I didn't like The Dark World either.
Oh.
I didn't.
I like all of them.
No, I didn't like either of them.
I'm
really.
one of the
to
weird
be honest,
defenders of Dark World.
They're one of those. They're two of those films that in the Marvel universe that I don't really remember that well, because I know that I didn't enjoy them. So they didn't really retain to me all that much. But Ragnarok is probably up there in my favorites, and I've seen Ragnarok so many times, and I'm not surprised that he's enjoyed the role since that one, because they have kind of given him a bit more, maybe not so much freedom, but they've definitely taken a different turn of the character for what he was before.
Yeah, I'd say they've given him more freedom on a lot of the character sort of creative
elements. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, he sort of in the last two Avengers, he was sort of given a script and said, "Here you go." But even in those, they tried to sort of keep him fresh, right?
Yeah,
which is where we got Fat Thor,
yeah,
and all the sort of
new
fun that entails. But yeah, so obviously. Do you guys actually know much about Thor Love and Thunder?
I don't really know anything about it at all.
Isn't it meant to be? He's not meant to be Thor anymore, is he?
It's
so he's always Thor because he is for himself.
Well, yeah.
But it's this weird thing in the comics where for a little bit he becomes normal, and then Jane Foster, his ex-girlfriend, Natalie Portman.
I just know her as Natalie Portman as well.
From Star Wars fame. Gets the hammer, and then
so Padme becomes Thor.
Yeah, and Odin's in the comics is really pissed about this.
Yeah,
but obviously Odin's dead, so it's not going to matter too much.
So he probably ain't going to have much to say about it.
But they did sort of bring Thor back as this unworthy Thor, and he loses one of his hands, and he gets like a hand made out of the same metal as Mjolnir.
Okay.
And then he gets the big axe, the two-handed axe that he's already got.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they're going to do it, because obviously she's meant to have the little axe, and she's meant to have the little hammer, which is destroyed. So I'm assuming maybe they find the pieces and rebuild it or something.
But didn't
because it went back to its original time.
Oh, it went back, didn't it? Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. So it's all.
I'm sure they'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'm sure then.
And they always adapt things so much from the comics in the Marvel movies, so I'm sure they'll figure something out. But I think this is really good news, because I'm open to a female Thor.
I'm open to the idea.
I also like the idea of him being there in the background still. Still, that you even make, in my eyes, the Thor like them be like equal characters in the franchise. Or you have her become Thor, and then he maybe takes a back step but becomes a bigger player in like a future Avengers movie or something. Have him be this old sort of, maybe leader of the Avengers or something.
Yeah, sure.
Because he would be the last OG if they didn't bring Hulk back as well.
Yeah.
But that's all just speculation. So
we'll wait and see. But
we'll move away from that. But I think we're all optimistic about Love and Thunder. So the last bit I want to talk about, and let's hope China doesn't try to assassinate us.
Mulan.
We're going to talk a little bit about Mulan. And, I sort of said, should we talk about it, should we not? But I think we should.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. And it basically, it was revealed during the shoot of Mulan that they'd filmed in a particularly dodgy area that is dodgy for, we'll not go into details, but there may be something to do with some sort of maybe human injustice, maybe some violations of human rights in the area where they filmed.
Yeah.
And, because of this, Disney has got a big slap in the face from pretty much everyone. And a lot of the Asian continent have trended to cancel Mulan, which is not good. At all for them. It's and part of the thing with Mulan is they reinvented a lot of the story to be closer to the Chinese myth.
Yeah,
because they wanted this to be a big selling point in China. Like we spoke on this podcast about China being a huge industry, upcoming industry for both gaming and movies. Like there's a lot of money to be had in China.
To be had, yeah.
And the Chinese government, because of all this backlash, have now cancelled any advertisement of Mulan in their press.
Right.
So Disney have got this massive backfire where they're getting, the Western world and other parts of Asia mad at them for, rightfully so, bowing down to China and sort of, because, they have the cheek to a lot of the time talk about human rights, but then you go to an area which is violating human rights and then thank China.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a great thing, So their whole world has fallen apart because now China can't be arsed with it. They're like, screw you. It's going to be a flop in China. And there's also a bigger chunk of the rest of the world who are also like, screw you.
Yeah, okay, I'm probably crossing a line by saying this, and I'll try very carefully not to.
Yeah, we have to talk about this. I feel like we do, but we're going to try and keep it.
Yeah, all I want to say is that I kind of like, the more we talk about things like this, the more I just think companies should just stop bothering with China, like stop trying to release things over there. Like, if they're probably going to offend someone somehow, and China, we know, has these seriously strict, rules and regulations about what gets played, what gets shown, what is allowed, what's not allowed. I think I would imagine, like last time with the Call of Duty trailer, you said about that poor guy at Activision or whatever tearing his hair out. Yeah,
because imagine with Blizzard just before.
Imagine every company that deals with a release that goes through China as well. They must just sit there on the edge of their seats, just waiting for, like, it's like if you send off like a report somewhere and you just wait for the guys that review it to go, nope, that's wrong, and send it back straight away, and you just, I don't know. I just think it's just...
I mean, this isn't the worst. Like, Disney have also, I don't know if you saw during Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, obviously Finn gets a huge place on the poster.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever seen the Chinese version.
Is there no Finn?
Finn is minimized into the corner, out of sight.
Right.
Because obviously China doesn't really like blacks in a leading role. Which, some people might be like, oh, what do you mean? No, honestly, China have a real, like, the most proof of this is Black Panther was a box office hit everywhere in the world. Do you want to know where it bombed?
Yeah, China.
So, there's
something strange going on here.
A slight bit of evidence there. But all we're saying is
foul play.
We don't want this to become a political podcast, but we can't see this and see it going on in the world and not acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And, all I have to say is I understand there's a lot of money there to be made, but I think Disney should learn from this and go, hey, look, we can make a tailored version of our products. We can make an edit. We can make an alter. And if China doesn't,
it's not like they don't have the funds to do that.
Yeah, and if China don't like it, they don't like it. But now they've gone to all this effort for China and publicly thanked them, which blew up in their face. And like, they've got nothing from it because the Chinese government are like, nope, don't want this media storm. We don't want.
Yeah, literally.
Anyway, that will be the last sort of I sort of say on that. But
I think we should
Disney just like sort it out, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So, moving on to my pieces of news,
which is
first
back to our suspenseful little gap there, didn't he?
Yeah,
he's got building it up.
And I've just realised.
I was like, no, I'm not doing it yet. I'm saving for last. I want to go out on that,
Okay. All right.
So first, as well, my other two news pieces aren't too big. But yeah, so first I wanted to look at a recent release that we've talked about a few times on the podcast. Marvel's Avengers. So released September 4th for everybody who bought the normal edition. And after release, it really hasn't looked too great for the game, to be honest.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah, so review-wise, Metacritic shows that it's pretty average, to be honest. It's getting 60s to 70s, or like 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10s, depending on the platform. And I mean, just on a review basis, that's not really what we'd expect
for an Avengers title,
especially since COD gets 9.5 every year.
Something that's so high budget, and with this name, you'd expect to be at least getting 8s and 9s, like as the lowest. But seeing 6s, seeing someone like IGN rate it as okay, it's very surreal. But so obviously it's not reviewing too well. But it also reportedly sold less than a third of the recent PS4 Spider-Man game reboot. And
That blows my mind.
like a third.
And also, this is on everything, and that's on
it's PlayStation only. Yeah, that's shocking. And not just, I will say, Spider-Man is fantastic. It's such a good game. But
Definitely,
you would have expected, with all the hype, especially around this.
the
Avengers,
name, like literally,
that should have been enough.
I mean, I think people wanted a Spider-Man level game with the
Yes.
Avengers, right? I think
yeah.
that's what people really wanted.
And wanted from. I mean, all I've really got to say on that is that I am one of those people. I have looked at Avengers so many times since it came out in the store. Also watched reviews, watch, should you buy or before you buy or whatever, and all different things. I just can't justify spending the money on it. If that comes into the sale, if that game hits
like 80 quid version.
Yeah, if that game hits the sale, I will get it. If that game ever hits the sale, I'll pick it up. I will definitely give it a go. But like, for example, our guest that was supposed to be on tonight, he does have Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, and he loves it, doesn't he?
Well, I've asked him more recently because I told him to tell me what it was like after he first got access to the game, which he got slightly early because of pre-order. And he said it was good, and he was liking it so far, but he hadn't played much. And the day after that, and that was the day of release, and then he got like a 14 gig update or something ridiculous, like the day of release, and
there was 2 day one patches.
Yeah. And I said to him the other day, I said, you haven't really spoke about Avengers since. Have you played more of it? Like, is it any good? And he said, do you know what? I haven't really played that much more since I last spoke to you about it. And I'm like, it can't be that great if he's not gone back to it that desperately.
Drawn into it.
And that's he's the key market for this game.
Exactly that. And so this is definitely, for me, this is a pick it up in a sale kind of game. Like, I'm not fussed if I have to wait a year.
And also, if
it.
it's a year, they'll probably have added Black Panther. They'll probably have added all these,
and you'll probably be able to buy
and
editions with everything in it if there's a pass.
So you probably, if you pick it up in the sale, I imagine you probably feel like this is money really well spent.
Yeah.
But it generally makes me really sad that this is the case.
It's a shame it's not done so much better.
Yeah, because this is the thing. The game isn't a flop. It is still in the charts.
It's like
we'll
they're
still
top
see
in
it
the UK as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're still seeing it sell decently, but obviously we've got that statistic of less than a third, which is ridiculous. And we've got these poor reviews, and it's just kind of upsetting to see them, have this beta, not really do much to improve. I've heard a lot of people saying that it just gets so repetitive.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
you're just doing the same thing
as well.
Yeah, exactly, and same, because I'm the same as you, Jack. I keep looking at it like
thinking I do want to, but
because we love our co-op games, so it's like, this could be perfect. But then I just think I feel like I'd be bored with
and also wasting that much on it.
Exactly,
it's a lot of money to pay for it, and it's the same price everywhere, and it's just like I watched a couple different reviews and stuff, and they all have hit that same point, is that it feels like some of the cinematics and that for the cutscenes and that kind of try to almost force you to believe there's more to the game than there really is, and it actually is just a rinse and repeat. And they said, there
is a story.
And for the amount of grafting you do, they said it just feels like there should have been so much more excitement to it. They said, like, there's a few segments of the game where you think, this is different. This is like proper cinematic. This feels like it could be a movie. And that's it.
This is Crystal Dynamics as well, isn't it? These guys made Tomb Raider.
Like a small indie studio,
And they're those storylines. I mean, I know people are mixed on that series as a whole, but I thought that series was brilliant.
Same.
I loved all 3 of their entries.
Yeah, those games excel for me. I love the Tomb Raider games, and you cannot say that those games, whether you're mixed opinions on it or not, they did not have bad stories.
Especially the first one, where she's.
So they were very polished games as well.
Yeah,
they were.
And this doesn't, and that's one thing I will say, is that this doesn't look. Yeah, it doesn't look.
Oh God, I've seen some. I watched like a 15-minute video of all these different things.
I like Captain America's face melting.
I haven't even seen that.
If you put certain like goggles on underneath, his eyes will just start melting.
I haven't seen that one.
It's just like, oh great, I'll just wear these goggles then. But so moving on from that, because I feel like we've kind of said said our piece.
Said
You
our
know, we're all
piece,
kind of
yeah.
disappointed.
We'll all
'cause
pick it up in a
this
sale.
could have been an amazing
I
game.
mean,
Like
a year from now, if it's on the sale and we all pick it up and we all play it,
Yeah,
we'll be
definitely.
like,
Pick it up now.
year on, maybe now is the time to grab it.
Yeah.
Maybe, and we'll all
Bugs
be
fixed.
very probably praising of it.
Mhm.
But at the time of talking, we're not.
Yeah.
At all.
So that was Crystal Dynamics not really putting itself in the best light. Now we've got a company that only, ever puts itself in its best light, and that is EA. We never have anything bad to say about
EA
Electronic
Sports.
Arts. Yeah. So EA Sports, specifically UFC 4, shipped with full screen adverts during the replay sections. So I'm not talking like fake adverts. I'm not talking like a little bit of the screen. I'm talking like a full-blown Amazon The Boys type full screen
Advertisement.
during
Over
your
your
game.
replay. Over your left
over
hook
the
to
replay.
face.
Yeah. And like there is also small adverts near the like on-screen display elements, but EA have since disabled the ads with the statement, "It is abundantly clear from your feedback that integrating ads into the replay and overlay experience is not welcome." And I've just got underneath that. How did they think people would be okay with this in a $60 game?
I don't know. I feel like maybe if it was Madden or FIFA, they maybe
Yeah.
would have got away with it.
Yeah, they probably would have
But
got away
UFC,
with it. Yeah.
especially because of how much, like, if you do like an awesome move and then it
You wanna
plays the
see it,
replay,
yeah.
You
that's
just get
like
big
some
old
of the best
ad
bit,
over it.
isn't it?
Mhm.
Like,
But
you call your mate in and go, look what I just did, and then this ad
The
comes up.
boys.
The Boys.
It's
And
missed it.
Yeah. But I mean, they already know that, like, surely because they do like testing and
Mhm.
like user feedback. Surely people aren't going in there going, "Yeah, no, I
Brilliant
love the
idea.
ads."
Yeah. Fantastic
Like,
idea.
surely they were going, "Oh, it kind of gets in the way a little bit." Maybe just not the big ads, maybe just the little ads. But no, they've had to release the statement saying it's clearly not welcome now.
Not welcome.
But as if it was ever like
Like they're disappointed in the players.
I mean, I'm really
Yeah,
proud
exactly.
for the fighting
Exactly.
game community though, because like say they actually stepped up and formed a little internet riot, and EA
that's
had to
pretty
take
much it.
notice, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it is cool that it is. I mean, we do dump on EA all the time, but it is cool that they're not just ignoring us and they're just going, no, just keep the ads. That's what they could have done. So it is a positive light that they are going, okay, we're going to disable them. They're clearly not wanting
What you want.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
And obviously.
One thing I will just say quickly about EA as a company is that although we do dump on EA, I do enjoy some of their games.
That's the problem. They do actually
them as well.
Like I really have.
They do release good stuff.
Yeah, they do. So we're not as much as we're dumping on them.
Yeah, we do like to kind of play up to it. We do
Yeah.
respect EA as a a pretty good developer. They just make some
Questionable
quite money
decisions.
grabbing. Questionable.
Yeah, but it's so bizarre because they'll do like this, which I think they thought they could get away with it in their
Yeah.
sporting games.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they've been doing this big PR push, with removing all the microtransactions in Battlefront 2 and then doing 3 years of free content and all these big, hey, look, we're not so bad anymore. And then they're like,
Yeah.
but the sports gamers won't mind.
Yeah.
Put it in there.
Which, to be fair, I don't play sports games, but I don't think that it should have been as like the players shouldn't have been so against it. I mean, it's obviously not good, but I think done in the right way, it's not that bad because obviously, like in real life, you have like pay-per-view and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that will have ads, so you're still paying to watch, say, a UFC fight, but it will also have ads. So it's not, to me, as big a deal as they like people have kind of made out to be. The way they did it wasn't great with the whole like covering the replay section.
Yeah,
but
especially doing it in an update after reviews, so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
avoid all the negativity.
I think if they did it right, it wouldn't be such a big thing. It would be just kind of there, and because that's kind of the point of this advertising. You don't necessarily have to look at it. It's one of the like a lot of advertising can be like subconsciously seeing things, and that to me, like I said, you're paying to watch the real life sport and you still get ads. So if you're paying to play the game, are ads such a big deal? But yeah, they just need to do it in a better way.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I still think I just don't like it if you're paying $60 for it. I think, and it's been pointed out that if you're just fighting in the arena, there's already advertisement in the background of the game.
Yeah, so I suppose that's kind of what I mean. Yeah, it's already there, so and they're not
it's
removing
like
that.
they're doubling it, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like there's not ads there. There are.
Yeah. So I don't know. EA. Like I said, I'm just glad that they did disable the ads.
Yeah, and I think, like we said,
taking feedback.
Yeah, which is always good.
Mm-hmm.
At least they've not become these money grabbing tyrants who are like, screw you. You will
Yeah,
still
and
buy
just
UFC.
kind of ignore their fans. Yeah, and like exactly. Like you'll still buy it. Enjoy your ads. Right. So, but yes. So, on to the best segment of the
back
podcast.
to our regularly scheduled program.
Have you got a jingle, Bradley?
No, I don't have a jingle.
He does need one, doesn't he?
We need to get one set up.
Yeah, I mean this is going on forever. So yeah. So if you didn't hear just then,
good call.
We've got. I've literally got 3. Like I think it's the 3rd time. Might be 4, might be less. But we're on to corporate beef. So today's corporate beef, obviously still involving Epic and Apple. If you thought that we were going to move on to a different corporate beef. Oh, no. We're still here.
This is the king of the corporate beefs.
Yeah, this is the corporate beef.
The Mac Daddy.
But today's corporate beef is actually doing a big old 180 flip. Okay. So we had Epic taking on Apple and Google, when no one talks about that. And Apple kind of fighting back for all of Epic's attacks. But now Apple are back and they want revenge. So Apple are actually now the ones claiming damages to the court. And I've got these statements, and I've actually read through the like not all of it, but part of the legal statement that they released.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's a massive
effort for the show.
I really wanted to make sure I got this right because I need to just read.
We never get anything wrong on this podcast.
Yeah. So I made sure that it was on the actual document. Right. So here we go. So this is a quote from Apple's document that they submitted. Epic's flagrant disregard for its contractual commitments and other misconduct has caused significant harm to Apple. And I just put, I doubt that, but this is the bit that got me.
We've got trillions and we've lost millions. No.
Yeah. Are you ready? Left unchecked, Epic's conduct threatens the very existence of the iOS ecosystem and its tremendous value to customers. I just felt, who wrote this? Like, who's actually sitting there?
Someone's had a lot of fun with this.
The guy, the lawyer. They called in to write that statement. They called in like someone who writes like really intense thrillers for a living and like books about.
They brought Homer back from the dead and said, "Right, you know your Odyssey. You're gonna write this for us."
Like how are Epic threatening the very existence of the iOS ecosystem, as if this is just going to call Apple to go under? You know, that's
I'd
just
laugh if one day we come on the podcast.
I love how poetic it is.
Apple have gone under.
Apple have gone under. I apologize to whoever wrote that legal document. You were threatened heavily.
You didn't exaggerate.
Do you think the judge will take this seriously though, or do you think he'll be like,
yeah, because it's written so well.
Yeah, of course he will.
Yeah, he has to, or she has to. It's ridiculous, but yeah, and the other thing Apple have done in the counter attack is they've actually said that they will not allow Epic to reapply for its developer program for a whole year. So basically, where they've gone back and said, well, this is the thing, where they've gone back and said, oh, we'd be willing to work with Epic, you know, depending on whether they would kind of conform. They've now just taken the stance of, you're out for a year. So even if Epic caves and says, we really need this financial support back, we'll follow your rules. They won't let them. They won't let them for a whole year. And all of its, you know, other IPs, other properties won't be allowed for a whole year. So nothing will be re-uploaded. Nothing will be allowed to be, you know, developed and uploaded to the iOS store for a whole year. So Epic is just out. It's out for a year. No matter, I'm guessing if this case goes the way of Epic, it might not happen. But this is what I've kind of put at the end. Is it's sad to see what looks like Epic kind of getting stomped and like overshadowed by such a juggernaut. Because Apple just has it is a huge company, and it's gonna be able to apply its resources to destroy Epic essentially, because Epic isn't anywhere near as big. And I went on to the CEO of Epic, Tim Sweeney's Twitter, and I found this statement which I thought was actually kind of like sad. He put, if Apple truly believes the fight over App Store's distribution and payment monopoly is a basic disagreement over money, then they've lost all sight of the tech industry's founding principles.
Oh,
so he's basically saying this is not about money, and
they're a rogue company.
Exactly. That he's basically saying, like, we're willing to put everything on the line, and Apple are just going to stomp us because they have no idea what it's really about.
Yeah.
Which is really sad to see. Like, Epic is it's quite a fledgling company. It's big, but obviously it's nowhere near the size of Apple, and they're trying to grow it. And obviously this has set them back hugely, especially with that whole year that I just talked about. Even if they do want to go back, they can't. So they're willing to put everything on the line for the future of, kind of mobile gaming. And it's kind of sad to see to hear him say something like that.
Do you think maybe they underestimated Apple's response though? Do you think maybe they were thinking that...
I don't know whether they did, or whether they just accepted as a company that they wanted to be a company to promote change. So I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, it is really tough. It's something that kind of Epic, have decided to do, and they knew the consequences. So it's just going to be a case of when this gets resolved. I really hope Epic don't, come out too worse for wear. I do like Epic. I like,
of course, I do,
the fact that they're trying to grow their own store. Because obviously, well, I do love the free games, but it's also a case of it's nice to have the idea of another kind of ecosystem of a store. Like, Steam has been.
Be careful not to anger the Steam gamers, Bradley.
Oh, I love Steam. Steam is great. Steam is great, but it's nice to have another option, really, because like Steam is the store. Like, you don't go to another
monopoly,
store.
didn't they? Yeah. Well, they did.
And it'd be nice to kind of to have another option. I use Epic a lot more now, to be honest. Partly because of the free games, but it's also a case of sometimes I'll find something cheaper on Epic, and to me it doesn't really bother me at this point, because I have so many games on there thanks to their free games. So they've done it really well as well, and they're trying to grow it. And I'm all for like having this, extra store. But yeah, it is sad, and like that statement was like kind of hit home to me, like, oh, poor Epic.
Yeah.
Like that's how I felt, like as if they were like a child just fighting someone. Like,
someone big as battle.
Yeah.
Just a year 11 has just thrown us a year 7 in a puddle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That. So, but yeah, so that's the sad current corporate beef. I'm hoping next week I can bring you corporate beef 4 and be like, Epic won.
Yeah.
I don't think so. This is probably going to take years.
Turns out Apple have gone under.
Yeah, can you imagine?
In a strange turn of events.
Epic's actually, they've actually gone into a full-fledged war.
Yeah.
There's ground war between the companies.
Yeah, there's actually riots on the street between Epic fans and Apple
corporate
fans.
war.
Yeah.
So that is all for my news for the week, and I believe Jack is going to take us through some
well, I've decided that I'm going to get my sad piece of news out of the way first and foremost.
Am I going to have a little cry in the corner?
Well, you probably won't, but it's a big deal for me. So this is news that I was kind of both gutted and also slightly relieved about. So it was announced towards the end of last week that the TV series The Walking Dead is finally coming to an end.
Sorry.
Bradley, thank God. I agree.
Hang on. So after 11 seasons, so 11 seasons, season
course.
11 is going to be the last season, and it's actually been labelled as the Epic season 11 or something like that.
As long as you don't count the spin-offs and the movie.
Oh yeah. So, but this is the thing. So the main series is coming to an end. So, from someone who both of you have watched The Walking Dead, but not like I have, so I watched it from the very first
7.
episode.
You stopped at 7. I stopped at
before that, didn't you?
6. I think.
So yeah, when Negan came into it, you stopped.
I stopped halfway through the season after Glenn had died.
Yeah. So
spoilers.
Spoilers. No, this is fine. It's so out of context anyway. So I've watched it from the very first episode when it aired. So it's a series a year. So
the first season's amazing.
It is. And do you know what? Anyone
season.
who slates The Walking Dead, like, honestly, there is a lot of bad things that can be said about the program, but you cannot deny that the first few seasons that program was incredible. And do you know what? The reason I say it's a bit of both for me is because I've watched it since the very first episode aired, and this is now season 11 we're coming into. That's a long time to stick with a program. And I've been there through the highs and lows, because there has been some terrible lows with the show. I won't lie.
I remember some episodes where I just thought, I just want to.
Yeah, and there was even a season where I reluctantly watched it, like, as in I didn't even look forward to next week's episode, but I watched it anyway because I said I need to stick with this show. I did, but it makes me happy and sad that they've said that this is definitely going to be the last season for the main show, because sad because obviously it's like the end of a long era for me, and it will be kind of sad to see how they finish the show off. And for me, I think about the cast, and I think, like, I know there's not a lot of the original
they're really
cast,
good actors.
Yeah, they are. And I think
the whole series they've had really good actors.
And I think even though a lot of the originals aren't still in it, for the ones that are, like Norman Reedus and that, and I think that must be so heartbreaking after all them years of working on a show to know that it's coming to an end, and to, do the last day on set. And I don't know, I'll be interested to see how they end the show, and I hope it goes out with a bang, and it's not a dry season like some of them have been. But the last season recently, the most recent season, season 10, I was actually really impressed with. And to be fair, I think that they took a massive step up, and I think it was like they tried to show what people had been complaining about what it's been missing and what it lacked from the original seasons.
Okay. I need to. I want to get back to it. I want to watch it.
Just to finish it. Yeah, but it's obviously is a bit of a relief because what you said, it's run its course. And like you say, there's now so many. There's obviously Fear the Walking Dead. You've also got another one coming, which is something like Beyond.
I believe that's Untitled at the minute. I think the working title is Beyond something.
Yeah, but it's obviously another spin-off from the same world as The Walking Dead. And this kind of brings me on to my next bit of news, which is that two of the characters that have been in it since the very first season and are still in it, Daryl and Carol, are supposedly getting their own spin-off show. I don't know if I like that. I'm not going to lie, because I love Norman Reedus. To be fair, I love Carol. I can't think what her real name is.
I think they're, but I can't remember the actress's name. But
I love them as
brilliant.
Characters. Yeah. They are, but to end the show, to end the whole show, and somehow come to a climactic close of that world of survivors, and then go, but Daryl and Carol are going to have a spin-off season, sounds tacky. I think it sounds unnecessary.
Yeah,
I don't see the point.
I'm worried it's gonna, like, when they carry something on like long before it's meant to.
Yeah.
And then it almost becomes comically bad.
Yeah, that's what
I'm really worried this is going to become like a memed series.
Yeah.
That like sort of tarnishes the legacy.
Tarnishes the legacy of it, because this program if it's ending, it's got to come to a climactic end, right? That even if it's open,
everyone dies, but Daryl and Carol.
Yeah, and
we want more money.
We want a spin-off season. Yeah, but that's the first bit of Walking Dead related news. So I'll be sad to see it go, but I will watch it to the very, very end.
And we'll watch the spin-off series.
And we will watch the spin-off series for the laughs. But secondly, so Rick Grimes, the main character, Mr. Andrew Lincoln, phenomenal from the very beginning. It's been in talks for years, actually, that he was going to get a movie based like around his character, and apparently that movie is still on track to hopefully start filming at the next start of next year, whether or not, depending on COVID, and I'm guessing whatever happens with that, whether that stays on track. But as of at the moment, it is still supposed to be going ahead, and it's going to be like the end of his individual story. Obviously he's been the main character from season 1, episode 1. Yeah. And he was, I'm sorry, but his acting is just out of this world.
He's one of these actors as well, who another one who strangely I always remember him in things before The Walking Dead,
Mm.
and he was always really good in everything he was in.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were always characters that were very different from Rick Grimes.
Yeah, so it's not like he's the actor.
So
who
much
plays
so
Rick
that
Grimes.
when I looked into the guy, when I first started watching The Walking Dead, I was like, oh my God, he plays all these characters.
Yeah, and you're like, I didn't even realize he was in this stuff. But
he's in Love Actually.
Love Actually, yeah. Which is he's like one of his early days. But yeah, he's phenomenal. And to be honest, the last thing I say about The Walking Dead, I'm looking forward to the movie and also to see how they finish the season of season 11, which I think runs into 2020, end of 2021 or something like that. But that'll be when it closes. It's going to be a longer season as well, the last season, just to kind of stretch out whatever they want to do with it. So more episodes.
Which is good. If you're going to do a last season, don't do Game of Thrones and go, oh, we're going to do less episodes.
Squish it all in. Yeah, squish. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, it's a bit of sad news, but also a bit of a relief for me. And I can't wait to see what happens with it, and obviously anything they plan on doing down the line.
And I'm sure we'll probably all watch the movie.
Of course we will.
If it comes out.
Of course we will. And
we'll force Bradley to come with us.
Yeah, exactly. And with regards to The Walking Dead, everybody should at least check it out because the first few seasons are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Moving on to some more positive news, though. I've got some information about the next generation consoles.
Well, this is positive for Xbox.
It's positive for Xbox, yeah. So Xbox obviously earlier, I think the start of last week actually, released which I spoke about, the Series S Xbox, which is obviously their smaller, cheaper console, which comes in at a ridiculous £249 or $299, which is incredible, regardless of what it lacks.
I mean, it will still run next gen.
Yeah,
no matter what.
That is so cheap. Yeah. So since then, Xbox then came forward and said that the release date will be November the 10th for both the Xbox Series X and the Series S. And they also released the price of the Series X, which comes in at $499 or £449.
That's not bad.
Exactly. Now, that is, again, for a new generation console, that is cheap.
I thought they were going to be more.
I thought it was
like
600
plus
range. Easy. Yeah,
yeah.
I was sort of 550 plus.
Especially you think because it's got it has got good hardware in it.
Yeah.
Like comparable to some gaming laptops that you'd pay like $1,000 for, right? Like.
Well, I mean, if you look at like the recent graphics cards that have been announced, obviously they're going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're looking at £400 for the cheapest.
And this is
next series graphics card, and that's just a graphics card.
Yeah. So this is the thing, is that it's really shocked me in a good way how cheap these consoles are coming out, and I probably will get the Series X. I'm not going to lie, but
I think me and Dan are going to go halves.
And I am excited for the new console, and this kind of brings me on to my next point, though, is that is incredible for Xbox. However, I think it might be a bit of a concern for Sony because there's a rumor that went around saying that PS5's price was considerably higher than the Xbox Series X has just reported that they're obviously pricing theirs at. So Sony has still yet to announce their availability and what the consoles are going to cost, what options you have with the consoles. But they've got a showcase coming up tomorrow night, actually. They've got a showcase, which is PlayStation's showcase, which I imagine they'll probably maybe do the pricings around then.
I feel like they've got to.
They've probably got to.
It'd be kind of weird if they didn't.
Yeah, but apparently because of how Xbox have now priced their consoles, they've had to massively slash their prices down just to kind of be competitive. And they've said that, well, if they're slashing their prices, they're probably going to try, and I imagine that they're going to try and either undercut, or if not, it's going to be pretty much the exact same sort of pricing. But there was a rumor saying that PS5 will supposedly cost around $499, and the PS5 digital edition will be cheaper than that. It will be $399, which still doesn't quite go down to the Series S, but it's obviously, I reckon that they've got to try and, you know what these two are like with their pricings, and I imagine they're going to try and keep as close to Xbox as possible now.
So obviously we know this was a rumor about the PS5 being incredibly more than the Xbox. But
I wouldn't doubt it.
But I wouldn't doubt it. But if say this rumor was true, How much do you reckon they had it up for?
I would say more like what I was expecting both the consoles to release around. I would have said around
600, 700.
I would have said 600, I think, around that sort of price.
What about you, Bradley?
Yeah, no, I was thinking that too. Just
600.
from what, but they always overhype their hardware. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
What, Sony?
so no, both like
next gen.
consoles always
Consoles,
overhype their hardware, because then you compare it to like a modern gaming PC, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh
Or
no,
even
is
a
it actually going to be
gaming
way
laptop.
better?
Like
Yeah,
a
or
high-end
exactly,
gaming
just
laptop.
any like non-console hardware, and then you're like, no, it's not quite the same.
No.
But I mean, yeah, they're meant to be putting out good specs, but yeah, I was still expecting around like 600 easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
So it's a
the
pleasant
S is the
price.
most of, yeah, the S is so surprising for me.
It's insane.
Yeah, like that really is really good value.
Yeah.
But
Unless it comes out and it runs like an absolute dumpster.
well, no,
Yeah.
because they're basically saying the difference will be is the Series X is targeting 4K at 60 FPS, and the Series S is targeting 1440p at 60.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is still insane. Like,
Yeah.
For a console, I mean, I play on a 1440p, and I try and target for like 120. So, but that's what I'm saying. And then that kind of difference between consoles, and obviously 4K 60 would be way better than my PC. So, so then you've got that jump up. Obviously, like if I improved, so it's one of those things. But yeah, like I mean, my PC was way more expensive, so that's why I was kind of like really impressed with their pricing.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I imagine Sony had a much higher price in mind personally, and that's why I think they waited for so long. But
I think they were trying to see.
Could you imagine if they'd announced like
First.
£600?
Yeah, and then Xbox was like,
and then Xbox were like
499, or you can get the Series S for 200, just over 200 quid.
That would have. I think maybe that's what Xbox were waiting for.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much of a jugular killer that would have been?
Oh, it would have been amazing. But this is why Sony are waiting, because they're the more snidey of the two companies. They're the ones that are more likely to undercut.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was set much higher. And the thing you were saying about like, will they now undercut or will they try and match? This is still something that as a company, they've planned for, you know, a specific price, and they've calculated their costs and their profit. And if they actually have spent too much in the costs and they can't actually, like, you know, without making a loss, then this could be really bad for Sony if they haven't managed it properly. Like, you know, like Microsoft might have. Or Microsoft are just crazy and they're making a loss on every console.
Yeah,
could
we
be possible.
We don't know what's going on.
Decided that they're just going to make a loss on everything
because
they want to spite Sony.
How to win the generation.
There was a rumor saying a while ago that Microsoft has never made any money on the hardware. They only make the money on their games. Yeah. So if that rumor has any truth, maybe they are just going screw it.
Yeah, screw it. We'll just be snidey to Sony and just put out really cheap consoles. But yeah, so that's pretty much it on that piece of news. Obviously, we love a bit of console news.
We love a bit of console news.
Yeah, we do. We love.
It's another segment.
Another segment. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll watch this space, because obviously the PlayStation showcase tomorrow, so maybe they'll announce their pricings then. My last bit of news today is a new movie trailer titled Dune, D-U-N-E, not Doom. And yeah, this looks incredible. So I'm not sure if this is true, actually. And I was going to say this to you, Chris. I'm not 100% sure, but I watched the trailer and I watched it with my mum. And my mum said to me, I think this is a remake of a really old film.
It is.
It is.
Yeah,
so I was going to say, I didn't know that.
There is a Dune movie from, I think it's 88.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. But it's based on a novel.
Right.
A series of novels that a lot of people have said is basically Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah.
And the original movie, I've never seen it, but I know that it's not faithful to the book adaptation.
Right.
Because when I read an interview regarding this movie, the director went out and went, "We're trying to keep this faithful to the books as we can."
So essentially,
that's all I know about the old movie.
Essentially, unless you know obviously about it already, it's sort of like a space empire warfare, Star Warsy, sandy, horror. Galaxy. Yeah, it's weird.
It looks awesome,
but it looks amazing, and there's a huge cast list as well. In fact, even Bradley has seen the trailer for this.
Yeah, I mean, I clicked on it because I saw Timothée I was like, oh, there he is. I really like him. I think he's so good.
He is good, and he was obviously in The King and everything.
So
And
he looked amazing in the thumbnail. So I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
film?
no, honestly, the costume
robes
design
and
all the makeup and stuff, actually, they all looked great.
Yeah, they
Even
did.
Momoa without a beard.
Yeah.
I was like,
which is always
you
a
looking
weird.
young, Momoa.
But yeah, there's aside from them two, you have got other big names. You've got Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac,
Great.
Dave Bautista.
Actually, weirdly, Bautista is a very underrated actor. He's had a few performances I've watched, especially in Blade Runner, where I'm like, you know what, this guy's got more depth than we think from a WWE guy.
But yeah, so basically the trailer, check it out. It looks absolutely incredible. You don't really know what's going on, but it seems like
that's what I like. Yeah,
and it seems like it's a lot of like, you know, factions and you know their rivalries and wars and it just
he's the king again. He's the prince.
He's a prince again. Yeah. But it just looks awesome there, and like you say, the set looks incredible. The
costumes,
the CGI in the trailer looks amazing.
Yeah.
It just looks like it could be an absolute masterpiece. It looks stunning. And like you say, with a big cast like that, with some cool costume design, you clicked on the thumbnail purely because of the way he looked. So that's got
cool.
And I'm really excited.
I mean, I really loved that bit in the trailer where Jason Momoa did the weird sword thing to his head.
Yeah, with the
and
head.
then he did it with the knife.
Well, yeah.
I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, I got like a Hunger Games vibe from that, like, you know, the Mockingjay symbol, like that they all symbol of respect.
I mean,
it is they do.
Like I say, I don't know the source material. This has made me, if anything, want to read the books.
Yeah.
Because I love reading source material for stuff. And I just watched this and I think, wow, this is just. I imagine this book series must be amazing.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, maybe even I'll look into that, to be fair, because if something's
Chris,
good,
read the books, and then when we all watch the film, you can give
is
it, you know, is it better? Is it worse?
I should buy it.
Yeah, and it definitely looks good, and we'll obviously check out that as obviously more news comes out on that. But
the one thing I'll quickly say on it though is I've heard that this has got an estimated budget of 200 million.
Wow. Yeah.
Always nice to hear.
And it looks like it, right?
Yeah.
But I saw a report and I was like, this is very true. They said this will either be our generation's Star Wars, this huge sci-fi hit, or it'll be another John Carter.
Yeah.
Another huge box office
I didn't mind John
disaster.
Carter.
John Carter I really enjoyed.
Yeah, like I think I watched it twice.
Yeah.
It was a financial disaster, though. It's one of the biggest flops in cinema history.
Well, let's hope it's not.
Let's hope it's not.
This could be the next big thing.
Great.
Yeah, it does look great. But yeah, that's it for our news segment today. So we're moving on to reviews. We don't have individual reviews this week. We have joint reviews. Ubisoft did another Ubisoft Forward, which we spoke about before. Ubisoft Forward number 2, and they are doing another one as well.
Are they doing another one?
Yeah, they said at the end there's a Ubisoft Forward again.
Just do it all at once.
I know. Because everyone, you know what? The first thing we're going to say is that we all sat there waiting for a Splinter Cell announcement, didn't we? And it just didn't come again. So
yeah, we're saying now, if you haven't checked, there's no Splinter Cell.
I think we said, are we going to be sad boys or happy boys?
We were happy boys. We were mixed boys
because we didn't get a Splinter Cell, but we did get a certain. We got Prince of Persia. So basically what we're just going to do is there was only a few big sort of announcements, so we're just going to briefly go over each of them, talk about the ones that interest us.
So we'll start with the obvious. Yes, Prince of Persia is being remade, which was incredible. The second the trailer started and the sounds went across the screen, I was like, I think they said, didn't they, before, we're going to take you back to a familiar face, and I was like, I know this is Prince of Persia. What did we think?
Well, I'm interested to hear, Brad, because I know you're positive. I know I'm positive, but I have a feeling Bradley might not be as positive.
How did you know?
I don't know.
I knew it. Because
can I take a guess why you're not?
Go.
Are you disappointed with the graphics and the way it looks?
Yeah, like literally, I was watching it. I went, wow, and then I just looked at Alexa and I went, this is kind of garbage. I just went, this is like the same company that makes these like really amazing looking games, and it just feels like there's no budget in it. It feels like
they've definitely done this on the cheap.
I will agree.
Yeah.
And one thing I loved that they are sticking true to the original game, and that the story has not been and the original cast, which is incredible, voice acting, and the fact that the story is not being altered, like the first game story, like they're following that same narrative. And I like that, and I like the fact that even from the looks of it, the gameplay looks pretty much, other than the odd tweak, it looks the same.
Yeah, I mean, it looks authentic, but there's a lot of quality of life improvements.
Yeah,
There's a lot of it looks like a lot more fluid.
Yeah,
than
of course, yeah. But I will agree with Bradley though.
Like when we were getting close-ups of like, you know,
Him.
him talking, I was like, oh no.
He was like, what?
I mean,
I was just like, oh no, like this is meant to be like next gen as well. I went, this is not next gen. This is like, you know, this could have come out like 5 years ago and I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, I did.
You know?
I think the problem is that on the one hand, it does look significantly better than the original.
When you see,
Oh,
does,
obviously,
but
it's a remake. It's
Yeah,
not a texture upgrade.
Like if you guys have looked at the Resident Evil remake,
They look
and
incredible.
that, it's stunning. Like, just it blew my mind how good, and I think that's what people wanted, right? That's what people were expecting.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's what. Yeah, that I you've put in here, Chris. Actually, you're worried that maybe Ubisoft haven't given it the budget that it deserved as a remake, and I completely agree. That is a bit of a worry.
That's what it feels like. That's the first thing I said.
And apparently they're a much smaller Ubisoft studio who have not done.
You can tell.
Stuff.
I think, like Bradley said, if this game was released 5 years ago, you would have gone, okay, fair enough. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing because when the trailer started, I thought this could look absolutely beautiful, like because of the sand.
That's what I mean. That's what I want from it.
Given a redo in the style of that Resident Evil series.
Yeah.
That looks so good. Can you imagine that in Prince of Persia?
Well, this is the thing, and the fact that they're using obviously mocap, it would have been such potential to have it look incredible, like just like the movie, and like, you know, it just. I'm excited regardless because it's a Prince of Persia remake.
I mean, I know, like say, despite the misgivings that we have with this, I'm pretty sure me and Jack, this is still a game we're getting on launch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be a launch. I'm pre-ordering it. I think I'm going to have to. I just have to.
I'm not sure about Bradley.
I got so excited watching the trailer and remembering.
I don't know, but that's what I mean. It didn't give me that excitement.
Did it
not?
When she said
like,
you can rewind time with the dagger rewinds time,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yes, it does.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I played the kind of reboot one, the second reboot one, and I enjoyed that. And I'm like, I'll just go back to that if I want that gameplay because this one looks trash.
Yeah, I love how you knew that he was.
I knew it because
it's weird because obviously normally I'm like
it.
it just I couldn't.
I know what Bradley's
feel that
like
excitement.
with remasters and remakes.
Yeah,
and to be
I'm
honest,
really picky because
it does look more like a remaster
than a remake. Yeah,
like you said, I in my head it was like Prince of Persia remake. I had this image of like beautiful lighting and the way the sand would like kind of roll across the ground. A game I could just load up and it didn't have to be like amazing gameplay. Obviously, they've already got that down. I would just go through this castle,
like even like the wind,
so
like
good.
pushing the sand up in the air and stuff. Yeah, I know what
like
you mean.
Little things like that.
That's how I pictured it was going to be.
Because it's meant to be next gen, but then we get this, and I'm not having a go at the developers. Like they're still a talented team.
They seem
I
very
just know that they
about
don't
the project
have
as well.
Yeah, exactly. I just know that they don't have a big team or as well as
budget
the
for it,
budget.
maybe.
Yeah, so I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying they're making an ugly game. I'm just saying, maybe Ubisoft as a publisher and a company could have put more into it.
Yeah, completely agree.
But we'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be one we'll purchase.
I will support this because I hope that this would spawn a next gen, truly next gen sequel.
Persia,
you know?
And I'd love if they did the last one, the Two Thrones, with the where the evil side of you. Oh, that was awesome. That's nostalgia for me.
Yeah, that's actually on backwards compatible now.
Is it?
I'm really tempted to buy it. It's like £8.
I might actually do it. Moving on. What I want to do quickly is we'll move on to the next game that obviously sparked interest, which is a rename actually, which is now known as Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
So it is. So I didn't actually know it was.
I hate this.
Yeah,
I
previously known as Gods of Monsters.
I still have Gods and Monsters.
Yeah. So this is the first thing I want to say is that of Gods and Monsters is so much more catchy, isn't it? Yeah, it's so much more catchy than this. It's not spelled right. No, it's not.
But it's not even like Marcus Phoenix. It's not even like the Phoenix.
The Phoenix. Yeah, it's just.
They had to be really edgy.
Yeah.
Now, it's just it makes me cringe.
Now,
I'm like, why?
I don't
Gods and Monsters.
I probably don't have as much to say about it as you two, so I'll let you crack on with it. But the one thing I do want to say quickly is that I watched the gameplay, I watched the things. I really wanted to absolutely love this game, and I did.
Same.
Initially, I did love the look of it. I loved the reveal trailer, like the cinematic trailer that came before the gameplay. The one thing I do want to say is that the graphics, again, questionable.
I literally,
Yeah,
I was watching these and I just
hit
went,
and miss.
this looks garbage too.
Yeah,
I went,
I know.
Ubisoft, what are you doing?
I know, and it's such a shame because I think the game looks like
I don't know
it could be
how.
amazing though.
It's with the Assassin's Creed Odyssey engine.
Yeah.
So how did they do
Yeah,
this?
I mean, I think it's the art direction, isn't it?
The
I
art
went,
style,
this looks
yeah.
like WoW, and WoW came out like what, 15 years ago?
I don't even know what that
Yeah,
is.
I think
World of
because
Warcraft.
They've very much gone
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sort of Fortnite style art direction, haven't they? It's
Something
I
like
like
that.
but I like the art style because I like the cartoony style and that, and I like the colourfulness of
But then
it.
it just
I
feels
didn't
like
think it
low
looked.
res unpolished.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I like I say, Jack. I like the art style, but it falls flat in the world.
Yeah,
like the
that is
background, it falls flat.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you say, Bradley says, when you play Odyssey,
is beautiful.
It's stunning. Like you're standing on a
I
statue and you look
love
over
Odyssey.
Greece, and the lighting
Yeah.
in that game is amazing.
So what do you think about the gameplay itself? We'll go through it just quickly, bit by bit.
So my problem was I am actually pessimistic about this game. I actually do want to get this game,
Mm-hmm.
but that said, it does. There were so many times in the gameplay when I was like, "This is Odyssey. This is
Yeah.
Odyssey."
Yeah.
Like when he dodges to the side,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
did like a slow mo. I was like, "This is literally the dodge from Odyssey."
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
was like,
just did it with like the UI elements. I was like, that's
Yeah.
Odyssey. Right
and then
there.
I'm like, they've literally taken Odyssey, and then looked at Zelda: The Breath of the Wild
Mhm.
and gone,
Let's slam
"Let
them
me
together.
fuse these two
Yeah,
things
yeah.
together." And I'm not against it,
Mhm.
but it just, I actually like the look of it, but I also hate the lack of creativity
With it, yeah.
within it, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley, any thoughts? Before we,
Uh,
anything else you want to say before we move on to something else?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I kind of watched that cinematic and I was like, wow, this looks so good. And then we kind of get into some gameplay and I was like, wow, this kind of looks a bit boring and it doesn't even look great. And I don't know how they've done it. And which is why I was kind of just disappointed after seeing the Prince of Persia, like, you know,
Because you then
graphics.
got another slap in the
Yeah,
face.
and I was like, we're literally on the, like, you know, the
You're actually
brink of
watching
next gen.
You're watching Ubisoft backwards, not forward.
It literally
Oh, wow.
is. That was good. I really
that's
like
the
that. That is-
title.
That's the
that's a
title.
perfect
Ubisoft. Oh my
explanation.
god! Title just made up on the spot. Ubisoft backwards.
Ubisoft backwards. It just feels like that. It just feels like they're ignoring next gen and they're just like
We're
they're
just making
taking these
games still.
Yeah,
We're making
like,
games,
oh
man.
yeah, this is still going to work on the Xbox One, and it's like you've got to let go at some point. You know, I want to start seeing some next gen stuff.
Like
because
if that,
obviously-
so you know the cinematic trailer. If they
Yep.
could have with next gen made it look as close to that cinematic with the art style and the way.
oh,
it
and they
looked, it
100%
would've-
could have.
Yeah. It
Have you
would
seen
have
like
been
the new Ratchet
incredible.
and Clank?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
it's beautiful.
fantastic. Yeah.
It is literally like a
So then,
live
so then that
Pixar
and that's
movie.
cartoony. That's
Yeah.
cartoony. So then they definitely could have done it with this design.
Exactly, but they
So,
just
Went back.
I
to
don't know what they're doing, and it's not like Ubisoft don't have the fun. So I
Yeah, I
literally have
mean,
no idea what their goal
I don't know
is.
if this was a smaller budget spin-off using Odyssey's engine, right?
It feels
then-
like it.
And then he said, "Hey, we've changed the title because we got given more development time."
Yeah.
But you say, it does definitely seem like built off Odyssey's bones,
Mhm.
and maybe it needs more funding. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
they're just expecting too much.
Maybe this is just their indie showcase, and we're being too hard.
Well,
Maybe,
they.
I mean, I like
there's
the look
obviously
of it.
another
I
Ubisoft
really
forward.
do.
So
We just expect more from next gen,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're all interested / not interested in that game, and then we'll see what happens with that.
I'll
But I
probably
agree,
play it.
and I will watch Ubisoft Forward Part 3 as well, just because I do have to keep in the loop with this sort of thing.
Yeah, no, we probably all will.
So also the last thing we'll say on that, rename it of Gods and Monsters, please, because that was so much
It's
better.
so much better.
And
So
Chris
catchy.
hates the fact that you
Maybe
spelled
they had
Phoenix
like
wrong.
maybe they had some sort of like copyright
Maybe.
issues, like, and they just didn't want to. They were just
I-
like just rename it.
I actually heard that it was because there's an anime of Gods and Monsters,
Right.
and there's also a
Right.
book series of
Right,
Gods and
so
Monsters.
they wanted to stand out a bit.
stand
Yeah.
out, and they spelled Phoenix wrong on purpose just to
Yeah.
antagonize people like Chris.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it looks awful.
So
There you go, Ubisoft.
next
There's
there
our
you go,
review of your
Ubisoft.
name.
Yeah, Ubisoft backwards. Anyway, so moving on to the next game,
Get
which
blacklisted by Ubisoft,
actually
can you
I'm really excited about, and probably not so much for you, but I do want to talk about it. Riders Republic.
What?
do you know what? You're probably even surprised I liked it, because usually I even started the
didn't know you were
trailer.
into these kind of things.
I'm not. And I started the trailer and I looked at it and I thought, oh, so it's steep then, basically. The game, the mountain thingy
It's
game.
Steep
And-
developers.
yeah. And well, I was
Isn't-
like, oh, it's just steep. Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm really not interested. I could just skip this. However, the more I watched the trailer, the more I thought, actually, this is pretty cool. And then the more I watched that, I was like, actually, I want to find out more about this. So I looked into it and I really watched as much as I could find on it. And this is definitely a game that if you don't have other friends who have it, it's probably not going to be that great. But I could see me and Zach on this game for hours, because I just saw customizing options, and I was like,
Ooh.
that's cool.
Your
I got excited.
gremlins
Yeah,
tense.
my gremlin senses were tingling. But literally, I saw the guy with the mask with the gas canisters coming out the side and that, and I was like, that's cool. And I saw all the different options. So it's basically, for anyone who didn't see it, it's like Steep. It's an extreme sport MMO, and it's humongous. The map looks ginormous. It goes everything from bikes to skiing, snowboarding, wingsuiting, paragliding. I don't know what else to say. It looks crazy. It's just huge, and there's constantly. Did it say how many players? 50.
50,
players.
yeah.
Yeah, 50 players, and it's also, by the looks of it, quite free roamy, because you can actually. I don't know if you watched all of it, but you can. Go to like the Yosemite Park and that, and you can take a stroll through the woods and like climb the mountain and stuff. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, you take a peaceful side to the extreme sport.
Yeah.
And I think it looks like fun if you've got friends to play it with.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of I was still waiting for Splinter Cell at the point of this. This was the last thing they revealed.
Yeah.
And I was like, he even said something like, that almost like made my brain think Splinter Cell, because he was like, the return of an old friend or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, what do you mean? And then obviously I think it was a Steep reference.
Yeah.
And then this played, and I was like, oh, I've got no interest in this. And then it actually came to the point when I was writing up Ubisoft Forward for the podcast, and I started reading into it. And then, like you say, they said wingsuits, bikes, all these different things. And then there were like 50 players. And I just had this mental image of playing with you guys.
Yeah.
And like 50 players having this mental race, all in different things, down a mountain.
The carnage,
colliding with each
the
other,
falling
like,
off, the snapping.
It was like Fall Guys, but with like bikes, right?
Yeah, or snowboards.
And
or
I was
whatever,
just like, do you know what?
It'd be really fun.
Even though these aren't really my type of games,
Exactly.
I think this sounds like such
a
fun
great
experience.
game. Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad you agree, because this is exactly my thought. I thought the same as you. I was not interested at all until I really thought about the bigger picture and thought, actually, this game could be hilarious if you're playing it with people you know. And even if you're not, it's probably still going to be quite funny. But when you're talking to your mates and you're having a laugh anyway, that is the sort of game that I could see myself having
Just a
so
bit
much
good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, just mindless fun. So yeah, I'm really interested in Riders Republic. I take it Bradley's not, because he hasn't.
I mean,
seen
I
it.
haven't actually watched anything.
Oh, have you not?
Because I instantly assumed not for me.
No,
but
that's what I did when I saw it.
Yeah, you're kind of
Am I
making me
swaying
think
you?
like I need to like
Reevaluate.
look into it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
There's not
I'll
much
look
to say
into
about
it,
it,
and then we'll
Well,
kind
maybe
of see
we'll all
when
get it or something. I don't know, but it looks great. And if you like big open multiplayer things, then it's probably a bit of you. And especially if you like extreme sports. Moving on, Bradley, I know you're going to love this. Scott Pilgrim versus the World Complete Edition. Yeah. All right. I'm going to say these quick words, and I'm just going to see what comes up. Remake/remaster.
Right. Which one is it?
So it is a remaster. It's a remaster HD collection.
I don't even play the game, but it's like,
See,
right.
I only added this because I have no interest in this.
Mhm.
I
Me
think
either.
it looks fun. I love it when I actually really like HD collections of, because this is like the original Scott Pilgrim as well. This is like really old, I think.
Right.
10-year anniversary.
Yeah. And I sort of I just really love it when indie games get like a HD remaster. But that said, as much as I enjoy that, because I'm like, oh, someone's going to get to experience this and it looks fun, but I have no intention of playing this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't have intention of playing it either.
Yeah, me neither.
Which is why me neither. It's so
Especially when it's a
negative, isn't it?
remaster.
But it looks fun, and it's just
I mean,
it's,
I'm not
it's
sure how
cool.
much you can do with a remake of Scott Pilgrim.
No,
though.
because it's just a punch,
but,
like move your way through a cartoony thing. Yeah, but either way,
Completely remake it, like they did with Resident Evil, where they changed it from like.
I actually think
Make
secretly,
it like a third-person beat 'em up.
I think
Yes.
secretly, Chris only put this in there to wind you up. I think just literally just wanted
another
to see.
remaster.
No, I actually
yeah.
thought. I mean, as much as I knew he'd be mad it was a
Yeah.
remaster, I thought he would be into the Scott Pilgrim games.
Oh, really?
No, I've never played them. I've watched the film, but
Yeah,
I've
the
never
film,
played
Just
any
sort
of
of,
the-
it felt like something Bradley would
Might
be
like,
interested
yeah.
in.
And Chris, I
So we
can't
talk
wait
about
to
our
talk
last
about
bit,
this
yeah.
one. Yeah. So,
The last thing that piqued our interest.
Rainbow Six Siege, Call Me Zero. Chris, take it away and start off.
I hate this. I hate it so much. I'm watching
Yeah,
it and
me
I'm like,
too.
because I'm waiting for Splinter Cell, and this comes up. I'm like, okay, maybe they'll tease him here first, and then we'll get to Splinter Cell. And then I was like watching it, and it just this whole, because I actually like the idea that they thought, hey, let's do a fun little animated short. Like I'm on board for stuff like that. But it was
Yeah, I
so
think they've done them
cringy.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just was watching it, and he's not even Sam Fisher.
Right. So
I'm like, you don't talk like him, you
No.
don't act like
Nope.
him, you don't look like
Nope.
him. I'm like, why didn't they just say, hey, this is another third echelon agent or
Yeah.
fourth
This
echelon
is literally
agent?
what I said.
yeah,
It's
this is the
awful.
thing. So there was obviously he's the character in Siege, which we spoke about before. Sam Fisher's now in Siege, and he's in it permanently from now on. They said they feel like he's a great addition to the players and everything. But yeah, they chucked it out there with this cringy animated short, which was just diabolical. Like,
It was like character assassination, wasn't it?
They literally, that's what I said. They've taken his character and not followed at all what he is, and just this is our Sam Fisher essentially. Which why even bring in Sam Fisher? Like you said, just bring in a third echelon agent,
With a new agent, yeah. And you have free reign to make a fun
literally
character. Yeah.
They've even changed his name. I said, why is he saying "Call Me Zero"? He has never said that before.
He's never
in the
been called
whole
Zero,
Splinter Cell
ever.
franchise.
No.
And they made it like this really cool moment where it was like,
Zero.
yeah, call
And
me
I'm like,
Zero.
why
And
is
it's
he
like,
trying so hard to be cool?
Did he
That's
say as
not
well?
what
Doesn't he
does.
say? Doesn't he like walk
He's
away?
Like, he just doesn't acknowledge people.
No,
usually,
and he,
does
I swear he
Or
like flicks his coat, like his dust coat, and walks away and says, "One more thing, call me Zero." Oh no, what do we call
Why
you?
just grumble and walk away?
He would, he'd already
Also,
punched you in the face.
No Michael Ironside.
Yeah, that's-
screw you.
Yeah. No Michael Ironside.
I mean,
voice.
I get maybe you got someone because you wanted to do mocap because
Yeah.
it's Siege, but come on.
Yeah, Michael
Michael
Ironside. Even that
Ironside.
would have made that less painful. But yeah, it was awful. And like Bradley says, never in the history of Splinter Cell has he ever referred to himself as Zero.
So,
felt
literally,
so
they've brought.
edgy.
But this
it was
is what I mean,
edgy. It was so
they've-
edgy.
They've brought Sam Fisher into their game. They have changed his design. They have changed his voice.
I quite
they have
like the way
changed
he
his
looks
name.
in the game, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
rough.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
is they've
Facially,
literally
it's got-
changed everything about the character apart from the goggles, and you don't even get to use them.
No.
Yeah,
like,
which is
literally. This is the other thing is I know that in game he has an ability that is nothing like he has
In the game, it's the gun that goes through the wall with the camera, and it makes
and
that
apparently it's
little
not
noise.
even very good.
No.
Like they've just kind of got it into a
Tactically.
place
Oh,
where it's
they
not very
didn't
good.
give him the old seeing through walls and stuff.
It is, but it's instead of like the snake cam, it works that you've got a pistol that you can shoot through any surface, and then that points the camera through the wall. So
Yeah.
then he uses the camera through the dart.
That's rubbish.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, I
exactly.
get
and
that- I get
people are
that.
like,
I get the point not to make him OP.
yeah,
but at least
still.
give him something that you know
let him
he's
throat
used in the
punch people or
past.
something. But
Or yeah,
just let him just
Like,
walk around as Michael Ironside.
I
throat
just
punching
hate that they've
everyone.
literally taken this character and changed everything about him and said, yeah, now we've got Sam Fisher in our
and he's
game.
called
It's like,
Zero from now on.
Yeah, it's like it's not even Sam Fisher though. Is
Why
it?
couldn't
It's
he be called Sam
Zero.
Fisher in the game? Like, what was wrong with
Yeah,
that?
or just like Fisher. Fisher
Yeah.
works as like a
Yeah.
you know like just
he
his
has
name.
He does have a code name.
Yeah.
I can't remember it off
Yeah.
the top of my head.
But it's not
Exactly,
Zero.
use
It's not
that,
Zero.
but not call me Zero. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, we'll call you
So-
Zero, shall we, Sam?
Oh god, I'm so glad we all hated this.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awful.
And it
I
just
mean-
made it worse that we didn't even get a proper reveal.
Splinter Cell- Well, I'm hoping Ubisoft 3 Forward will be the.
Could you imagine if we get the Splinter Cell reveal and his character is exactly like this?
Yeah, they call him
and
Zero.
it's a
Oh.
reboot.
Yeah, this is like you know
remaster.
letting us know that he's going to be called Zero from now on.
But yeah, we'll see.
I think I'd hunt down Ubisoft.
yeah,
I'm going to their headquarters in France and I'm being listening.
right, so
Listen,
But yeah, that's all. We summed up with the things we were interested / not interested about Ubisoft Backwards.
Yeah, and there was a ton more. There was a load of
DLCs and things like that. Yeah,
you know, we didn't want to get.
And we'll stay tuned for the next one because we will definitely watch it, even if we hate it again. But no, we had good and bad.
Yeah, and like I say, there was stuff we found interesting. It's not all bad.
No, it's not.
It's just we were just a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. So we don't have a golden oldie this week. Instead, we have a series retrospective.
Like our Halo one.
Like our Halo one. You'll be pleased to know this isn't Halo again.
Damn it.
Something like that. But instead, we thought, seeing as the release is not too far away now, we would talk about Call of Duty as a franchise and go into our thoughts on those. Yeah. Before we just start talking about our favourites, talking about the new one, they recently released the multiplayer reveal. I was really excited with the campaign reveal and the story reveal, and I'm interested in the game solely for that. I watched the multiplayer reveal thinking, well, if the campaign's done well, maybe the multiplayer will be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, what a load of rubbish. What an absolute waste of my time. I saw
really like Warzone.
Yeah.
And I think Modern Warfare's online was actually
decent.
Good,
yeah. And do you know what? I saw a video that said 11 minutes of multiplayer gameplay for Call of Duty Cold War. And I thought, I'll give that a watch, see what they're doing, see what interesting new takes they've got. And it just looks like, I don't even know what to say. It just looks so poor.
I'll be buying it for the story.
For the story, and that's it.
Zombies.
Yeah, I watched. It just looks like they've given you too much health. All of a sudden, they've given you like an actual health bar now above your head, and like when you shoot other players.
They did that with the last Black Ops, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But I just don't like it.
It just did not work then.
I also
no, me neither.
No. And also, I think it doesn't look very next gen and very like.
Yeah, when I was
adapted.
watching it, I kind of thought Modern Warfare looked the same, if not better.
Yeah,
I thought
online it just looks pretty. I thought it looked quite sloppy and also quite sluggish. I wasn't a fan at all. I literally didn't even watch 2 minutes. I don't think I just skipped through it and I was like, I don't like this. So yeah, away from that, we'll be buying that for the story.
Yeah,
Chris. Or Bradley? Who wants to go first?
I'll steal first. I like to talk.
Go on.
Go for it.
I will go on a limb here and say that my favourite Call of Duty, and I actually think there's been some really good entries. I really do. But I think my favourite is World at War. I love World at War. I think it's so much so that it's just, there's two things I really remember about World at War. And that's the story is like imprinted into my brain.
Embedded. Like, you feel like you lived it.
I can remember like maybe 20 or 30 moments. And how many games can you say that about?
No,
especially first person shooters, which tend to be quite forgettable story-wise. And then the second thing is the multiplayer. I remember it being so gritty, so fun. Bouncing Bettys were the bane of my existence.
But they were the bane of everyone's
existence. The maps as well, like the Japanese castle, the tank yard in Germany, where you had the overpass and then the actual tank building sites.
You could actually get in the tanks, couldn't you?
Yeah, completely.
It was weird.
And I loved it. I thought it was actually quite good.
No, but that's what I mean. Like COD hadn't done that. As in with the online, it was just very much boots on the ground. There was no and then that one map or maybe two maps were like, go on then, you can get in the tank. It's like, no,
don't be scared.
Can't be serious.
They built the they built the tanks for the campaign, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they just dropped it in the multiplayer. Yeah. Why not? If you built
and
it
they felt relatively balanced. Which is weird.
You could get rockets, couldn't you, and just blow them up and stuff.
Yeah. And you think that like they would have had back then a hard time balancing something like that, but it just fit in and nobody really kind of said anything. It was fine.
I believe as well, was it the first game to introduce dogs as a kill streak?
It was, I think.
Oh my god, how terrifying!
Oh, hang on, was
it 4? Did it have it in 4? I think it was the
4
first one.
or Modern Warfare 2 do have dogs? Or was World at War was between them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it would have been. So
it would have been. Because
you
couldn't get
in Modern Warfare they had
no, I don't think you could.
Chopper instead.
Right, I remember how terrifying.
Because it's always 357.
Yeah, 357. It was radar, care package,
dogs
chopper.
were so OP.
No, radar,
kill half
airstrike.
That was it, airstrike. Yeah.
But dog, when you hear those coming, you're like, oh,
you hear the dogs, and you're like, oh no.
And then you get
I always felt so bad. I was like, I want to kill them.
Yeah,
it's a cute German Shepherd, man.
And then you're running away from the dogs, and you run straight into a bouncing Betty and blow your legs off. It's like,
and also that's the thing. How I really upset COD moved away from that gore
from the real
because it was so
gritty.
Yeah, and even though it was, the multiplayer has always been like, you know, ridiculous, and you're not meant to take it realistic. I think the fact that you'd lose limbs and it felt brutal made it feel so much more real. And I think it contributed so well to that feel of World War II.
Yeah, it definitely was in that respect. I would completely agree. The story is embedded in my skull, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. I loved the storyline in that game, and it was the most of all the titles. It's definitely the most realistic, gritty,
atmospheric as well.
Atmospheric, yeah. And agreed. Even the multiplayer was good. It's not like it was just an all-story good game. The multiplayer was great as well, and obviously,
especially for its time.
And you're forgetting also zombies.
Oh my god! How could I forget zombies?
The best map. It had the first map where you're in the little building. Yeah, that's the best map.
The destroyed bunker.
Then it had. That's all you need for zombies.
Then it had. I can't remember.
That's the only one I've ever liked.
Then the third one was in the Japanese swamp.
Yeah, Shangri-La.
I also love that map. And the fourth one was, I'm going to disagree with Bradley. The fourth one was my favourite.
Which was
the one where it was the big Nazi outpost. It was the biggest map they'd done to that point. And I don't know if you remember, but you start off in a big open space, and then you move through it, and there's the mother box would always spawn. Oh, it's really hard to describe.
I can't picture it.
But it was like the most popular map.
Yeah.
Online. It was the fourth one they released.
Yeah.
And it is it's so annoying me. I can't remember the name of it, but I can picture it in my head now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anyone listening
will know what it is.
Will know what I'm going on about.
It's like it was a revolutionary game as well, obviously because of the fact that they brought zombies into it for a start, which obviously then continued throughout.
Nazi zombies.
Yeah, and it was great, and a great game mode which created so many fun times with your mates. You know, getting to round 100 and whatever ridiculous. And
is anyone good at doing the?
I'm not going to attempt it because my throat hurts, but otherwise...
I mean, that was like a dying cat.
That's the sort of thing that I would have attempted if my throat didn't hurt today. But yeah, honestly, yeah, I'd agree. World of War, it isn't my favourite, but it is my second favourite.
So that's my favourite. Do you guys agree on your favourite?
I think we do, but Bradley, go and I'll tag along.
No. What is it? Go on. I want you to, if we do agree, you can have the honour of saying it.
Right. It has to be Modern Warfare 2.
See, I would. I think mine has to be 3. That's the problem.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 3. So we're really talking the end of Soap.
Yeah.
You play as Yuri. And yeah,
I thought 3 was just that perfect kind of
endpoint.
And I really liked the different people you play as. I like playing as the new Delta squad.
And you rescued Price from prison, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the one.
And I really liked that story, and I think it took 2 and it just kind of upped the ante again, just that bit much. It felt like World War 3 because it was just so much
chaotic.
Going on.
There was so much
exactly.
I think that whole Modern Warfare trilogy. Modern
Warfare
1, 2, that whole storyline is you can play them back to back, and it just works so well.
Do you know? Strangely enough, I'm glad you've actually said a different one so that we can kind of have a little chat about it. But so obviously, I watched this video. Strangely enough, only literally I think yesterday or the day before, and it said basically the sad realization of Captain Price's life from the start to the end, and like throughout the games, and. When you really look at him as a character, obviously he's this strong leader, you know, he's cool and all that sort of thing. And I know he's in the most recent release. But if you watch him through the Modern Warfare games, he loses everyone. He can't. He's too late for everything. And
that's something I loved about 3.
Do you remember Modern Warfare 3? Do you remember the last mission?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, on the
just gets his cigar out.
And Yuri dies as well,
to save you. To save Price. And
I liked Yuri. I really liked Yuri.
And that's where and he falls through.
So that's what I mean, and this is why I think 3 was such a strong entry.
It was.
And I actually really, really remember very vividly Soap's death.
Yeah,
the
on
scene,
the table. Yeah,
and when Price pushes you down the staircase, and he's like,
"How do you know?"
Going mental at you.
Yeah.
It's so well acted, actually.
It is.
Whoever that guy acted Price.
It is very good. And I'm glad you said a different one just so we can. So for me, I don't really recall Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer.
I loved 3's.
I remember it vaguely, but not well enough to talk about. But whereas for me, the reason I picked Modern Warfare 2 was because as much as Modern Warfare 3 does also have a good campaign, I don't think it beats Modern Warfare 2's campaign. Just because.
So just to quickly clear up.
Yeah.
2's campaign starts with you doing missions as Roach.
Yeah.
As a Soap's trainee.
Yeah.
And you do it all across the world. It leads into the Russian invasion of America, right? And then it ends like the last mission in the American is like it ends on a cliffhanger, if I remember.
Number 2, it ends. The last mission of the thing is with Shepard.
Yeah.
And
but the World War 3 ends on a cliffhanger, doesn't it?
Oh,
because then in Modern Warfare 3, it picks up with the Americans striking back first in America and then into
I believe so.
Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
is that right,
like
Bradley?
that.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember the start of the game.
Yeah,
but,
it starts.
Or Paris. They push back into
But
Paris.
like I remember, so Modern Warfare 2 obviously has. You do go to Paris at the start. Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 has some of the most memorable story missions for me. Just I remember, to be honest, I kind of feel like without the names, I can pretty much remember the missions through like from start to thingy, and I just love them. I love you can't tell me I don't know if there's a more cinematic moment in that whole maybe even in the franchise than the bit with Ghost getting shot by Shepard.
Ghost and Roach, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you're playing as Roach.
It's the gunshot when you to your gut.
It was like the most tragic death as a kid.
And you can hear Price on the radio, can't you? Saying, "Don't trust Shepard," and it's like, oh my god! And it's when Ghost reaches for his gun, doesn't he?
It's the fact as well that it's such a horrific scene. It's such a horrific scene as well that you're still alive with that gunshot in your abdomen. And they throw you onto the pile, and then they throw
fire.
And you watch it through the lens of this dying man's eyes.
Yeah, and with Ghost next to him.
And this was when COD had soul.
Yeah,
it was when COD's story was
dragged you into it.
Was emotional and intense, right?
And that's it. Like with that moment, because Ghost actually drags you down to the helicarrier because you're already injured.
Wounded,
you've been stabbed or shot, haven't you? I can't remember. And he drags you down there. But anyway. Yeah, it has memorable missions all the way through, like the cliffhanger mission with the ice pits.
Yeah, great, really good.
Yeah, like just great moments through the snow and like the mission early on where all I remember, I don't remember what happens, but I think it's the one in Rio where you're in the car at the start and the guy gets shot in the driver's seat and you get out and sprint after
and
that
also,
guy.
do you not remember Soaps chasing the guy across the rooftop?
Yeah, the jump.
And bodies him into a car.
Bodies him out the window onto the car. Yeah, like all of that. It's just, that makes me smile. Like, and I remember that so well. And then the multiplayer, the intervention sniper rifle is all I really need to say.
Ugh.
Oh, you can't tell
I never
me.
used to use
Really?
it. No, M4A1. I literally just
the
used
M4A1, yeah. But no,
just
the intervention.
It was such a basic boy, but I'd always come like
The
top with
intervention
my
with the bolt
M4A1.
And just the high-rise map, obviously, it just...
I think Modern Warfare 2 probably has the best maps in the
franchise.
franchise.
Multiplayer, yeah. And
it
was just... I think for me, it's the most nostalgic
I'll
because
die
I
on
remember...
that World of War, the best map.
Yeah,
still.
But for me, it's just the most nostalgic because I remember all of the hours spent on multiplayer as well as on the story mode.
It's got to be the game I spent most time on.
Yeah, the little do you remember High Rise where you get that glitch where you jump up on the ladder off the edge of the map and you climb onto the roof with the teddy bears? Do you ever do that? And you just sit up there. Yeah,
and obviously like snipers are all up there, and I'm there with my M4A1, like kind of see someone.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, not really a good spot for me, but hi guys, I made
Everyone comes in.
It was always a victory when you got up there. You know, it was that moment when you're like, yes, I made it. Yeah. There was also, do you remember on High Rise that bit, the sniping thing you could do where you like ran right or left?
Yeah, at the start.
A straight line to the other side.
Straight, and it was always whoever was quicker. Like literally,
it was just that moment. You like, I would never go that way, but I just see the two snipers.
You go when they hit the bolt, and then someone dead straight away.
It's always your teammate. You're like, well done.
And if you were lucky and everyone ran that way, you get like a collat kill with like one shot, go straight through everyone. Yeah, honestly, just so many memories on that one game. The Desert Eagle, just everything. The story for me will always be the most memorable for that. But
so I really love how we've all chosen different ones.
Yeah,
but we've all agreed that each of these games are, games in the COD's franchise that really deserve a place in the golden days of Call of Duty.
Yeah, because obviously it gets a lot of like flight now for how it's become, but they were good games.
They were. And do you know what? We've just forgot one of the most important things about Modern Warfare 2 was Special Ops.
Oh,
yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, Special Ops was
the game
so
mode
fun.
where you play with a mate.
It wasn't a good substitute for zombies.
No.
But
Oh, to me it was because I don't
Oh,
like
really?
zombies.
No,
yeah, I
Oh.
really don't like zombies.
So
The only
love-
zombies map I like is Nocturne. Nocturne Toten.
You've got to tell.
Otherwise, I hate zombies. I find it so boring.
You've got to say, agree
The
with me though,
Spec
that of all
Ops.
the Spec Ops missions, the best one was the one where you can sneak through the snow in the forest, and you can actually do the whole thing
It's
without
like
being
yeah,
caught.
yeah,
Expendables or
and
something
then,
like that.
yeah.
It was,
And even the one actually that was
I
based
think it is
on the
called
mission where Roach and Thingy die.
yeah,
And there was like big open trees and forests,
Mhm.
and then there was like a section with loads of houses,
yeah.
and you could go in there and funnel the juggernauts up the stairs towards you.
Yeah.
And then if you got in trouble, you just jump out the window and that's run.
They were just really good, and they were really challenging, and I like that.
You could
obviously,
make if you
that
put them on the
being me.
hardest, and you even get the ones where one of you's in there. It's called Big Brother, I think. Where
I
one's in the
love
chopper.
Big Brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and one's on the
you-
street.
Oh, and then there's the one
yeah.
with the AC-130 as
Yeah,
well.
That's
yeah,
and that's such an
Great missions.
It's such an epic feeling being an AC-130 and having a friend
Covering
on the
someone.
ground
Yeah,
and
yeah.
being like,
Protecting
all
them,
right,
yeah.
one sec, and then you clear them out. You're like, go,
that?
and then like more come. Yeah, and even
Yeah.
being on that
You wanna-
ground,
that
feeling
noise.
of
And then the
that iconic.
We need to get a soundboard.
Yeah,
that's just Jack
soundboard.
recorded.
yeah,
making
AC-130.
noises.
Enemy AC-130 above.
It was just such an epic feeling. But
Yeah, it was. And
Yeah.
to be fair, that's one thing I forgot nearly, but I can't believe I nearly
Mm.
forgot it because that makes me feel really sad. But yeah, special ops campaign multiplayer. But yeah, I agree though, because I would actually say that I would say World of War was my second favorite, and then
Ooh.
Modern Warfare 3 would probably.
see, mine was the Modern Warfares, and then the new Modern Warfare, and then probably World War.
I did
Ooh.
love actually. To be fair,
Controversial.
I did.
I'm kind of
love
forgetting
the
the
story.
new Modern Warfare.
yeah, same. I
The
didn't
new
really take
one
that
is
into account.
really.
The story is great.
It's really grounded. It's really real. Like
Yeah.
it could be like released
Modern.
as like
Yeah.
as a film, like that kind
Yeah.
of
That
set in
mission.
reality.
The
I've
mission
never
in the
played
house,
it,
clean
but
house.
it's
Yeah.
I do really want to play it.
I remember the mission in London. Like it just
Yeah.
feels real.
Oh,
you know?
everything
like,
about that with the cops
it's quite.
running about and the civilians.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Oh,
And
you
then
get an
when
achievement,
he's
don't
got
you?
the guy on his chest and like the bomb on his chest, and he's
Mm.
like trying to think of how to deal with him.
And he just,
you know,
yeah,
like-
yeah, that's incredible. That
It's
scene.
just such
So
a like
gritty.
yeah,
Well, it looks
tense,
gritty.
yeah, and it is.
Yeah,
It's gritty.
He just,
yeah.
he just chucks him, doesn't he? He realizes
Mhm.
he can't do it in time, and he just throws him to save everyone
Which
else.
again
But
is like a moment like, oh crap, I'm not gonna like get through
Save
this game
someone.
just like saving everyone,
Well, that's
killing
it.
everything.
like you get so in that mission.
You're a soldier, not a
Yeah,
hero.
and in that mission in
Mhm,
London,
exactly.
it's a terrorist attack, it's a terrorist bombing in London. It's been Piccadilly Circus, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you get an achievement because you start off, you're an undercover cop in the start of the mission, so you've only got a handgun. When these
Mhm.
terrorists jump out the trucks and start, you actually get an achievement because you can actually, because civilians are running everywhere, you can actually hit civilians in the middle
Yeah.
of the fire. If you do the whole mission without hitting a single civilian, you get like a eagle-eyed achievement for like basically your point accuracy for not killing a civilian or whatever. But even things
Yeah.
like that, it just feels really realistic. And the fact that you don't get penalized, like it doesn't restart the mission if you kill a civilian by accident. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like the fact
Yeah.
that
Yeah, because
that's
this
real
happens in
warfare.
real life.
Like,
Yeah,
unfortunately, people get caught in the crossfire. So I thought for realism as well, the newest Modern Warfare really stood
yeah,
out for me.
I need to buy it. At
It is
some
good,
point. I held off because I wasn't bothered about the multiplayer.
But you had Warzone, didn't you? 'Cause we used to
Yeah,
play it.
but it's definitely
You
something.
and your bloody LMGs. You used to be honestly, Bradley. I just got to say,
I'm a
it's quick,
suppressing fire guy.
He's a suppressive fire guy, right? And I remember one
They're
game
always
we was
useful.
playing, and Chris had 2 LMGs or something like that. And I just remember we knew that the enemy squad was in a small house, and I said, right, what we'll do is we'll do this really tactfully. And while I'm talking, Chris just sprints across, doesn't say a word yet, barges in the door and just blind fire, just holds the trigger down of like 100-round magazine
killed, like, 2
LMG.
geezers,
He
didn't
knocked
they?
2 of them, and then literally he went down by the 3rd guy, and I just run in there and finished the squad off. And I was like, Jesus, Chris, talk about organisation. He was like, what? Suppressive fire just works. And I was like,
That's not suppressive fire, Chris.
He just went in there and
Well, no,
bombarded them. It
you
was
were
brilliant.
sort of you were fanning about,
planning around the edge.
and I was like, oh no. If you got an LMG, you just kick the door in.
Yeah,
and
see, I'm on Warzone.
And
I have a sniper on one. My primary is an assault rifle or a submachine gun.
And then a
Secondary
sniper.
sniper, because then I can pick people off and do the close
you
range.
know what the problem
Chris
is?
just balls to the
It's
walls. I love
because
it.
every time I played World at War,
Yeah.
I was either an M1 Grand guy
Yeah.
or an
Oh, the
MG42.
Oh,
It was,
Oh, no.
it was that
I
or the.
hate LMG.
I
Yeah,
was
I
a
hate LMG.
machine.
It's
so
with the
boring.
MG42.
yeah, but Chris
No.
has always been that guy.
There's always that's why they put him in the game.
Yeah.
People like Chris.
I mean, it's not the same as like the Battlefield series,
Yeah.
where it actually rewards you for suppressing people.
For suppressing. Like, you
Yeah,
actually feel it in
Battlefield's
Battlefield,
different
and
though,
like your camera kind
There's
of
a purpose
gets
to it more.
muted. Yeah, whereas in this, it's just kind of like infinite supply of ammo.
Before we move on, can we just completely agree, that the noise that gun makes, the M1 Grad,
the clip expending.
It's the nicest
It's
noise.
satisfying in real life.
There's an actual video on YouTube just of a guy just ejecting the mag just for that sound. Is brilliant. Ding! It like pings, doesn't it? And it ricochets. I love the sound. Anyway, that's our Call of Duty series retrospective. I'm glad all three of us had a different one, actually. That was nice to
and I'm glad we agreed they're all great games.
In their own
aspect, the ones
we
we talked about.
The ones we did not.
From then onwards, it starts to get...
The one that had Blackout and no campaign. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Black
Ops 4.
It didn't have a campaign?
That never a campaign.
Nope.
It just had Blackout,
Black Ops 4.
which was the first battle
But Black Ops 3 campaign
Oh,
was so bad. So I got it with a friend of mine, and it was so bad that we started, because it was co-op campaign, we started playing it together, and
I remember
we were
it vaguely. It was awful.
It was so bad. And what happened is he went to me, right, I'm not enjoying this one bit. I'm going to go off and play it on my own, because it might be because we're talking over the story.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, that's fine. So I went, we'll do that. So we both went separate ways. Yeah, literally. He got through one mission and then called me up and went, yo, are you free? Because I kind of like feel obligated to complete the campaign, but I cannot do it on my own because it's so dead. I need to just talk through it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just like finish it as quick as possible and then get onto the online. And even that wasn't that great.
No.
But Nuketown's good.
Yeah, Nuketown's great.
Yeah. But
Call of Duty,
that was our series retrospective of Call of Duty. So we're going to move on to our last part of the show, which, as always, is our quiz.
We do need a soundboard, don't we?
We do, yeah. We need some fun little jingles. But so this was actually as well. Our guest was meant to do a quiz. But obviously last minute, couldn't come. So I have, as soon as the boys said, "Oh, we can't come," and stuff, and we had to throw something together, there was something immediately where I was like, "I have a plan. I have an amazing plan." So my quiz is actually on the Metal Gear franchise.
Oh wow! Okay, I'm interested.
So
I want to hit it with question one. I want to do well in this.
So what's your experience with Metal Gear? Both of you?
I have played I would say Metal Gear Solid 2, maybe, or Metal Gear 2.
Oh,
I think I played one of the really old ones. And I remember being really young when I played it. So at the time, I probably was a bit too young to really kind of get into those games, but
it's
I remember
a very
it nevertheless.
Story.
Yeah. Then I never really touched Metal Gear until
Ground Zeroes,
and then
Phantom Pain.
And I love the fact. I think that game.
Did you ever finish Phantom Pain?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I got stuck on a mission, and I told Bradley so many times that I needed his help, and he never did. And that was my.
I can come help you now if you want.
No. Phantom Pain.
So Bradley, have you finished Phantom Pain?
Have I finished Phantom Pain?
Of course he has. I know.
So you should get a few of these.
I have S-ranked every single mission.
And how well would you say you know?
I lost half
Metal
my
Gear,
life
Bradley?
to that game. Not very well at all. Not literally.
He still doesn't understand it, even though.
Yeah, no way do I understand.
Do you not understand 5? Because 5 is very, very complicated.
I get a lot of it, but as soon as you finish, so you get to mission 30, and then it's like game's over, and then it's like, haha, it's not. Here's 20 more missions.
Well, the thing
those 20 missions, I start getting very confused.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with 5 is there's a lot that goes on, and a lot of it is explained more in the tapes. And a lot of it is explained in the tapes, and a lot of it is characters lying to you and telling you fake things. So a lot of it is you have to try and figure out and then also Snake is hallucinating a lot of stuff. So it creates this.
I've got the key points, it's one of those things.
Yeah,
but if you're going to ask me about lore, and I'm like.
And Kojima also had 2 more chapters planned before Konami kicked him out. Before Konami said, no, you've gone over budget, get out.
Yeah.
So there's actually a whole concept reel for another chapter that they'd done 30% of the work on, and then Konami said, stop.
They said, stop, get out, we're going to make a zombie game that's going to flop.
Which is so sad, because could you imagine if he got to finish Metal Gear 5 with these 2 chapters he
would still be
add?
confused with the details.
Still be playing
You'd probably be a bit less.
And playing it, yeah.
Right. But that aside, we'll move on to the quiz. I just wanted to know what for the viewers at home, what your sort of experience with the
I've only done
Just
Ground
quickly,
Zeroes
before
and
we start
5.
number one. I'm just going to tell you the mission I got stuck on, because you'll know exactly which one it was. It's the one on the bloody airstrip with those things that all the bosses.
Spectres.
Yeah, where they.
It's
all
not even a
arrive.
very long mission.
It's not, but I
literally
couldn't.
just that.
But I was not geared up enough to deal with
Take
that
them
mission.
on.
To just fight. I hadn't got the
Yeah.
health, and I hadn't got the ammo or the explosives or anything I
Yeah.
needed. So it was just
You weren't
impossible.
equipped.
I was not equipped. Anyway,
Whereas I by
I
that
love
point,
the
I
game,
think
and I'm
I'd like
I'm
researched
annoyed.
everything.
I'm annoyed that I didn't, because that I didn't really get into it enough, because the game and its gameplay and everything was just amazing. I loved
The
it.
whole franchise
Yeah,
is amazing.
it was amazing.
Even though some of them are very dated.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I started with the HD collection on the
Yeah.
360, which is
Right.
number 2, Snake Eater, which is number 3,
Yeah.
Peace Walker, which is number 4, and then I got Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain,
Yeah.
which is both the parts of number 5.
Mhm.
And the reason I chose this quiz is because I, like you, never understood the story.
Okay.
And then I knew a lot of it because I played a lot of the games.
Yeah.
But then I watched a timeline video going through the entire timeline, kind of like what happened with Dragon Ball Z actually. And then I watched 3 videos breaking down the entirety of Metal Gear 5.
You're banned from saying Dragon Ball Z on this podcast from now on.
Yeah,
I've
no
decided.
more.
You even brought it into Metal Gear Solid.
So
You've got at least 6
I,
months off.
I've kind of fallen down this rabbit hole of Metal Gear recently.
Okay.
And it's really bad. So much so that I have learnt so much, and it took me ages to reconcile so many story details because it's so convoluted. But
Yeah.
it's purposely convoluted, right?
Mhm.
But anyway, let's
Question number one.
let's go on to the quiz.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there. So number 1, who do you play as in Metal Gear 5? Metal Gear Solid 5,
Mhm.
yeah? So your options are Big Boss,
Mhm.
which is A, B is Venom Snake,
Mhm.
and C is Solid Snake. Who do you play as?
Bradley?
Big Boss, Venom
Oh
Snake.
no, this
or
is so
Solid Snake?
confusing. Technically, you're not. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't. No, this is like they call you Big Boss. I
Yeah.
swear they call you Big
They
Boss.
do, they
But
do,
I
but-
swear at the beginning of the mission, it also comes up Venom Snake.
That's really annoying. I thought this was supposed to be the easy question, because
It
I thought because they
is.
do call
It
you
is
Big
if
Boss.
you pay
I know that.
attention to the.
I
to
know-
the
I
if you
know
pay
they call you
attention
Big
to the
Boss.
stuff that pops up on the screen, every mission.
Yeah, I swear it's
yeah,
Venom
it's-
Snake that
yeah.
pops up.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go
It's
Venom
not
Snake.
Solid Snake.
It's no Venom Snake. Yeah, do that. But it
So
is
you,
Big Boss.
you
they
both
call
going
you.
Venom?
I am.
Yeah, because even though it is Big Boss as
Yeah.
well.
Go on.
So it is Venom Snake.
Yeah.
Yes.
I won't tell you why because it's a massive story
Okay.
spoiler. But it without spoilers, you are Big Boss.
Mhm.
By the moniker,
Mhm.
but
See.
you have to play the story to understand why he's Venom Snake.
Okay.
Because
okay.
if Jack had played it to completion, because you probably will do one day,
Maybe.
One day.
or are you not bothered and do you want me to tell you why?
No, I probably will at some point. I would rather not spoil it.
Yeah, no, don't, because
It's
it's such a.
it's like a BioShock Infinite level.
Yeah.
Oh
spoiler.
my god, what
Yeah,
the hell?
yeah, yeah.
And your mind
We
just goes,
we knew.
boom.
like, I don't know. I remember I figured it out.
I was so
purely,
oblivious,
like-
Bradley, because I know
No,
they leave breadcrumbs.
I literally figured it out from the beginning, and I was like, well, like I assumed it was a mistake, you know, and I was like, oh,
Okay, just come on. Enough.
Anyway,
enough.
well,
Enough
question
trying to
two.
beat around the question. You can talk about it afterwards when I'm not here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so who do you play as in Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater? So this is the
God
third
damn
game, and your options are Liquid Snake, Raiden, or Naked Snake. Any ideas? Do you want them
I
again?
know you play as Raiden, but not in that. I don't think it's in that one.
No, that's
Oh, Snake Eater.
Revengeance.
Yeah, that's Revengeance. Yeah.
I think it's
Naked.
Liquid Snake.
I'm gonna say Naked Snake.
Okay,
Make it
so
interesting.
Bradley's going Liquid and you're going Naked.
Naked. Yeah.
Okay, so it's Naked Snake.
Yay!
So-
do you know what made me think that? I'm pretty sure I've seen a clip of him running around naked and hiding in stuff. And
So he's
whatever.
not
I don't
actually
think
naked.
that's why
but I-
it's called.
No, I'm not saying that, but that's
There's
why it just
there's
made
a
me think
joke
that-
they make
Oh.
during the game about him actually being naked, but
Right.
he's not actually naked.
Right. Okay.
But that was Big Boss's moniker before he got Big Boss.
right.
Because Snake Eater is his first mission.
Mm-hmm.
And he is working for Boss, who is his commander.
Mm-hmm.
And his moniker is Naked Snake.
Okay. I'm going 2 for 2, by the way.
Hey,
So-
you played an extra game.
Yeah.
So what is the philosopher's legacy?
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
I'm out.
A guide to building Metal Gears. B, $100 billion with like a finger in your mouth, like Doctor. Who's the guy from Austin Powers? $1 billion. You know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So yeah, $100 billion or an infinite supply of cardboard boxes.
And what is the thing called?
The philosopher's legacy. It's
What's that?
either
What is A?
a guide to building Metal Gears, $100 billion, or an infinite supply of cardboard boxes.
Bradley, any
He
idea?
needs those cardboard boxes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be the cardboard boxes one. Someone's legacy is normally their funds, so that makes sense to be the money. But at the same time,
It is Metal Gear.
why? Yeah. So why would it be about money? But
Go
I
on,
don't know. What do you want to go with?
No, whatever you do, I'll go for the opposite one. Make it interesting.
It seems too obvious to be A though, so I'm just gonna go B.
I'll go with A then, just because he's gone B. I'm not going C.
Okay, so it is $100 billion.
Yes.
So Bradley takes that one. Sorry,
Oh,
Jack, you're not
sorry.
going 5
I mean,
for
if
5.
I'd have just gone for it, I'd have.
And
Well, I just thought that
basically-
that's
Yeah,
someone's legacy, just
I
like
mean,
money.
it's a lot of money, and it's also this happens after World War One.
Right.
So
That's
this
even
is
more money.
insane money,
Yeah.
right? And this is what the plot of the third game revolves around. It's actually Snake trying to get the Philosopher's Legacy for the US,
Right.
and Russia are trying to get it for themselves, because the philosophers were Russians, Americans, Brits, and China, who tried to stop the Second World War,
Okay.
but it didn't work out, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, out of these 3 events, which one is untrue?
Okay.
So, sorry, which one is true?
Which
So
is true?
one of the events below did happen, and the
others
other
didn't.
2 didn't.
Go on.
So your options are number A.
Number A. You said it again.
Did you mean to?
Yeah.
I didn't actually.
didn't,
It's a
no.
problem. In the setting, Big Boss at one point actually conquers the world. That's A. B, Stalin has a fist fight with Big Boss. And C, a pregnant Special Forces soldier gave birth on the beaches of Normandy during D-Day. So one of these happened in the timeline.
For God's sake. I'm going to go with...
So Big Boss conquers the world, or he had a fist fight with Stalin, or a pregnant Special Forces soldier gave birth on the beaches of Normandy during D-Day.
Oh, no. These games, any of those is possible. That's the stupid thing. Oh, for God's
Well, 'cause of,
sake.
Kojima.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was the pregnant one either. Bradley, any thoughts before I make a decision?
No, I'm just gonna go off what you don't pick.
Okay, I'm going to go for has a fist fight with Stalin.
I'm gonna go with
You're
pregnant.
right with the pregnant lady.
It's got to be the pregnant one.
Boom, Bradley.
Oh, for
How's
God's
the
Yes,
sake, I was
production?
it
going
had
to
to be.
do it as well. and
It
I
had
thought-
to be the
I
pregnant
thought
one. It was
Kojima
too
probably did
obscure.
that. It's so weird.
So the boss, who is Big Boss's
Yeah.
old mentor, she fought in World War II,
Yeah.
and she was pregnant at the time, and she took part in D-Day, but
Right.
gave birth on the beaches of
Yeah,
Normandy.
of course she did. Why wouldn't she?
But she gave birth to Ocelot,
Right.
who is...
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. There you
wow.
go, Bradley.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
That's cool.
who works
That's
as a
awesome.
who works as a triple agent in Snake Eater, and then he trains you at the start of 5 for your rehabilitation.
Played by Troy Baker.
Yes,
Ah,
the same one.
The same one.
So the last one. What is the secret project? Les Enfants Terrible.
God, give me the options.
And Les Enfants Terrible. Well, it says terrible, but I guess
Terrible.
for some reason the first 2 are in French and the next one is just terrible.
Terrible. Yeah, go on.
So A is a plan to build an army of bio-augmented super soldiers using Big Boss's genetics. B, the Metal Gears designed to win the arms race and acquire world domination. Or C, a project to clone Big Boss.
What's it called?
Les Enfants Terrible.
Les enfants terribles.
Yeah, but for some
That
reason
pronunciation
the
is...
terrible
He's
is...
incredible at pronouncing things, isn't he? Yeah. Anyway, Bradley, you can pick first this time. Seeing as
I
Wait,
know,
can I
got
have-
off.
I know
Can I
Bradley
have-
knows this, I think. Because
I do, but I'm kind of confused with the wording. So,
So
can
it's
I have
either
the first one?
cloning Big
So
Boss
it's either
or
a plan to build an army of super soldiers using Big Boss's genetics.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're taking people and using his genes to make them better.
Yeah.
Or it's a plan of, so it's 3 Metal Gears designed to win the arms race.
Right.
Or it's a project to clone Big Boss.
Bradley.
See, I thought it was clones, but I might have misinterpreted it to, for it to be super soldiers. I don't know. You pick. It's one of those two.
No,
If I'm,
clones.
you're going for clones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bradley, you should have gone with your gut. It is clones.
Yes.
But you are right, because I was sneaky with this, because they actually
We went 3-all.
they actually do use Boss's genes to augment super soldiers, but it's a different project.
Right.
It's not called this. Whereas the clones are still super soldiers because Big Boss.
Yeah. See, that's why I was confused. You trickster.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
trickster,
This
you.
is why I worded this interestingly, because the clones are super soldiers, but that's because Boss is the greatest soldier. Big Boss, not Boss,
Right.
is the greatest soldier in history.
Oh, I knew it was clones.
But there is another project with a different name where they use his genetics to amplify normal soldiers to make them super soldiers.
Right. Okay.
So I threw a curveball in there.
Yeah, you did. You did.
But-
Yeah, you did.
But you did. So what was that?
You rotten scoundrel.
So who was that? So
3 each. We
Three
went 3
each,
each.
wasn't it?
Yeah, 3-all.
Oh, okay.
Annoyingly.
Well, that was pretty good. And I'm generally surprised. I'm quite upset Bradley knew as much as he did.
Why?
Because I was kind of hoping. I mean, I don't know.
Wait,
why
when
I'm
you
surprised.
literally do everything in 5, you pick up bits from the other games.
Yeah, it's.
You get these like
and
drip
like I say,
feed of info.
I don't know if you'd be interested, but I literally watched amazing videos, and he said what parts were true and what parts were his speculation. And he has
Right.
one episode that's like an hour that breaks down Afghanistan.
Oof.
Then he has another episode that's an hour that breaks down the African segment, and then one
Mhm.
bit that breaks down the ending. And then obviously he gives you all the facts, and then he also says, hey, these are the facts, but this is my interpretation. And honestly,
Yeah.
the series was so good. And I left it and I was like, whoa, this Konami, like, what were you smoking when you came up with this? Like, this is just, it's such an insane series. But I don't know, for whatever reason, on paper, it's mental. But in the games, it just works.
It does just
Yeah.
work,
And I
and you
don't
don't really
know
feel like you
how.
need to. Yeah, it does just work. And actually, I think that should be your closing thought. Konami, what were you smoking when you came up with
Yeah,
this?
like, and then even like Jack said, where he was like, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the pregnant lady on the beach.
Why is that not shocking? I should have just gone with it anyway.
It's just Konami, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Kojima even, not
Kojima.
Konami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I mean, we did all right, Bradley. 3 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll.
and our
good
closing thought of Kojima,
Yeah.
what were you
Smoking
smoking?
when you
And
wrote-
carry on smoking it, 'cause we
Yeah.
like your game.
Because even though it may make no sense, we still somehow understand it, kind of.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of,
mean,
yeah.
after watching 4
Well
hours of video essay.
Yeah, exactly that.
All right,
But
guys. Well,
yeah. That's all
we'll-
from us,
yeah,
and hopefully
see you
we'll-
later.
See you later.
See you later.